Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all sorts of good things. And ladies and gentlemen, we're joined today. He's back after having the day off yesterday. Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett is here. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, John. It's great to be back here in the studio with, I can't believe who I'm here with.
I know, because this is the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah,
Since the three of us have been in the studio together.
I think the last time we were all in the studio together, we were talking about how long this COVID thing was going to last.
It was in, I think, April. It was in April of 2020.
Yeah, it was in April of 2020, because then all of a sudden we were like, oh, we probably should be socially distancing from each other, and we can't do that in the studio. And I don't want Joey Bishop to get the COVID. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
I think it was like, so it's the OG crew. For all of the newcomers to the John Campea Show, I am not the new girl. I'm actually the old bitch. And I've returned. The old bitch is back. So, yeah.
Wow.
It's the OG. Well, I'm not the OG crew, but I'm the most recent OG crew.
Yeah, but last time I saw you, you hadn't yet acted with Will Smith.
Ah, that is very true.
Now I've actually watched you in the theater and on HBO Max.
Well, that's more than what I've done. You know, I still haven't seen the movie.
What?
You didn't see the movie yet?
So here's the problem. This is how I know my kid has aggressive FOMO. So the movie came out on November 19th. We were supposed to fly to Boise. Our baby was born via surrogate. And we were supposed to fly to Boise on the 17th and then just like hang out in Boise waiting for this kid to arrive for a couple of weeks. And then on the 16th at 7 a.m., my phone is blowing up. She's in labor. She's in the hospital. And I go, really, kid? You couldn't have waited? And so he's like, my mom and dad are both in a movie. Obviously, I need to be here for this. So, yeah, we were going to go with, our surrogate, her whole family. We're all going to go see King Richard in the theater. But instead, we were flying a baby home from Boise. And then we just kind of were up to our ankle, up to our ears in diapers, and never got around to watching it on HBO. So
it's good.
Well, I'm waiting for it to come back to HBO so that I can actually watch it and fully focus.
Well, now the whole gang is back in the house again, except for one. Rake wasn't able to make it in today. He'll be back again tomorrow. But anyway, guys, it's great to have you guys here today, and we're so happy you decided to make this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We break it down into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you'd like to get in a live comment or question, there are two ways to do it. Number one, if you're watching live, and only if you're watching live, you can go ahead and use the super chat feature over there in the YouTube chat. I only leave it open for like 15 or 20 minutes. Then I have to close it down, or else we'll be here all day. So if you got something to say about any of the topics we're talking about, throw it on in there. If you're watching the show any of the other 22 hours during the day, just go down to the description of this video and you'll see a tip link. Click on that link or enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question read on the show or an upcoming companion video if we deem your question appropriate to be used on our show. And of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us involved at the John Campea Show, thank you guys very much for your support. All right, guys. Let's get things started with a couple of off the tops. And one thing, a real unfortunate thing we got to start with off the top. As you guys know, we've been talking a lot about Moon Knight recently. And of course, Rob did a big breakdown of giving you a crash course on Moon Knight and everything you need to know. Then the trailer dropped the other day, and we talked about that yesterday, of course. Well, today we found out. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm familiar with the actor myself, so I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce his name. Forgive me if I do. But a French actor who is one of the stars of Moon Knight, the upcoming Moon Knight. He plays Midnight Man in the upcoming Moon Knight. Gaspard Ulliel, and I may be mispronouncing his last name, one of the stars of Moon Knight, has passed away after a head injury during a ski accident. And you always, anybody passing away is a tragedy. Passing away at 37. Passing away right on the cusp of maybe his biggest role yet, as far as notoriety and people are going to be taking notice and all that kind of stuff. And right on the eve of the trailer coming out too. And this is a real unfortunate thing. Rob, you heard about this. First of all, can you give us a little bit about, for people who may not know anything about it, who Midnight Man is, who he was going to be playing, and your thoughts about this, and how this kind of affects the whole atmosphere of the show now at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Midnight Man is a Moon Knight villain that goes all the way back to the first series that Bill Sienkiewicz and Doug Mensch wrote. And I'm not sure if they created him. It was like early on, and he was a horribly disfigured. He was a horribly disfigured villain that was in the sewers, kind of a thing. I mean, he wasn't a superpowered character, but just an early Moon Knight villain. And I think, if memory serves, there's a great cover with Midnight Man. I want to say it's in a gallery where you see Midnight Man and Moon Knight squaring off, and there's like pictures behind him. And I want to say it's issue 8 or 9 or something. Keep in mind, we're talking 40 years ago. So what can I say? But I just think it's cool that they have that character actually in the comics. And that's the one I'm talking about, John. Third from the top on the left side, that cover.
Let me see if I can get this on screen for everybody.
Yeah, is that like the Mona Lisa or something? I can't believe I remember that. That's nutty.
It's funny because their outfits are kind of similar.
Yeah. That's so sad.
It is so sad when you hear about that.
What issue is that?
Oh, I can't even see.
Oh.
I can't see, not from this image.
That's so weird because, dude, that has to be from 1980 or 81. That's the first appearance of the character, I believe.
Aaron, like as a performer yourself, I mean, whenever you hear about anybody passing away at anything, you obviously had a very notable experience with that when your co-star, you're the star of Spartacus, passed away, like in between seasons and things like that. What does this do to a creative crew and cast and stuff like that when somebody you've worked alongside with, when somebody who you have done all this stuff with suddenly passes away? What type of an atmosphere does that create amongst the crew and the rest of the team?
Well, it's just debilitating. I mean, so yes, when Andy Whitfield passed away from cancer, and it's actually bringing up a lot of similarities because, this young man was 37, Andy was only 38. This young man is clearly a star in France. He had won what is the equivalent of the French, it's the equivalent of the Oscars in France. He had won it for most promising newcomer. He was nominated 3 times. He's had just an incredible career. He's been acting since he was 12 years old. He also has a really remarkable modeling career. He's a face of Longchamp. And he's, very promising career, similar to Andy Whitfield, who was a Welsh actor living in Australia and had just done Spartacus, which was going to launch his career in America and really just changed the trajectory of his life. And it seems like this young man similarly had done had really reached a great level of success in France, and now doing Moon Knight, which was going to just raise his profile on the international stage and for American audiences as well. For him to be to pass so tragically and suddenly, it's just a tragedy, and certainly puts at the very least a damper on the energy of promoting the show, because now, anytime that you're not going to, if you're promoting Moon Knight, you're not going to be able to do that without obviously talking about this, and so it just puts a different color onto things. And we don't want to say, oh, well, we don't want to put a damper on promoting a television show over something, but I don't mean to trivialize someone's death by saying that, but it does go hand in hand. It's sort of like, what was the vampire movie that Aaliyah starred in with Stuart Townsend? Queen of the Damned. And then of course there was a lot of question about should the movie even come out, and we've seen that happen with Chadwick Boseman and his passing. What happens with the character? Do we recast? And right before we started the show today, I asked Rob, is this character of Midnight Man, is this a character that could be recast? Or we don't even know if this is a character that by the end of the season
survives,
as a character. So it's just an overall tragedy, and certainly for people who knew him, and to the fans in France, anyone in France who may be watching, we are so sorry for the loss of such a clearly beloved young actor who had such incredible promise.
Question is for you guys. How are you feeling about this, about the passing side? Were you familiar with his work? Maybe his was a brand new name to you, like he was for me. It's going to add an extra little layer of emotion, I'm sure, when Moon Knight eventually does come out. Whatever you guys are feeling about it, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do one more off the top here, shall we? And that off the top is this. Other than, there's some really exciting series coming out. We've got, Peacemaker's out right now. By the way, 14 hours, T-minus 14 hours until the new episode of Peacemaker comes out. Yeah, I'm back to counting down the clock again.
So good.
I haven't done this since probably WandaVision. I haven't probably done a countdown clock.
I watched the first episode with Elizabeth last night again. Mm-hmm. And she's like, this show's great. I go, I know.
What's her favorite part?
Probably John Cena's body.
Yeah. The underwear dancing scene.
What? Also picking up the massager. She couldn't stop laughing.
Oh, that was
singing into the massager as a
I love those moments like that where you either know or you don't know. But if you know, it's really funny. And if you don't know, that's okay.
She was dying.
Yeah, that's great.
I am back to counting down the hours. But that Obi-Wan is coming out. Very, very excited about that. But I don't know that there's anything upcoming on television that I'm more excited about than Lord of the Rings, this Amazon series. And listen, it was a couple of years ago now. Do you remember when they put out that little sizzle reel of that just listed all the people behind the scenes that were working on it? And I'm like, oh my God, look at these, everything from concept artists to the screenwriters to the production team to all that kind of stuff. And I just remember looking at that and being like, this is going to be really, really special. Well, they've released their first little teaser, and they've finally given us the official title of the new Lord of the Rings show. And I believe it's called Rings of Power. It's going to be called Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. And basically the whole teaser is basically Galadriel reciting. It's just kind of a concept thing where you see the molten gold metal going through the spear, where it just come down and takes its form and shape, and hearing those iconic 7 for the Dwarven Lords and their halls of stone and that whole thing. And I just was watching it and I was getting goosebumps, and hearing kind of those musical notes, those musical hints in the background as it's going on. And I was I just could not believe how excited I was feeling about it, because, here's the word again. It's the tangibilization. This is the first piece of tangible, it's not just in the ether. It's a real thing now. There's this teaser sitting in front of us.
And it's tough because how long has this been made? For 18,000 years? For as long as the Second Age lasted or whatever?
It feels like forever. And it is by far the most expensive television, it's not close. It is by far the most expensive television project.
By a factor of 10.
Yeah. It's absolutely nuts what they have invested into this show and what they're doing. Now, again, this show might be terrible. It might be awful. We don't know.
If it is, it'll be the biggest debacle in entertainment history.
It'll be one of the biggest letdowns ever. But I'm telling you right now, the anticipation and my excitement level for this is off the charts. Rob, you had a chance to take a look at this. What do you think?
I got to tell you, John, like you, I thought if you're going to put out a teaser, obviously this is set in the Second Age when the original Rings of Power were forged. And I think it's pretty much a perfect title for the show, harking back to the opening of Fellowship of the Ring, because that was all about the Second Age, the opening montage where you see the first battle of Middle-earth. I thought this was a great way to introduce this show. And I have to say, I think everyone loves Lord of the Rings, having worked on it for years, doing the special features with the team we were working with. Dude, I'm in. Just count me in. Because I hope and pray that it's good. I just want it to be good.
Now, they did something, I thought it was very wise of them here to just put out no characters, no anything. It's not even a teaser trailer. It's an announcement. It's an announcement trailer, but still you get to hear that voice, and it's great. Aaron, I don't know where you're at right now as far as anticipation levels for a Lord of the Rings show or anything like that. But what are your thoughts? What's your anticipation level like, and what did you think?
Already, I'm having like a 6 degrees situation because I'm looking at this cast. We have Cynthia Day Robinson, who was on Spartacus. She took over the role of She took over the role of Navia when Leslie Ann Brandt left the show. And so great to see her here. And then also, this is a like 18 degrees, but Lloyd Owen, who is also in Lord of the Rings, he was the star of a show called Viva Laughlin, and it lasted 3 episodes. It was the first showrunner job that Stephen DeKnight, the showrunner for Spartacus, it was his first showrunner job, and the job that he was like, I really want to take this off of my resume. But so quick departure, but it is a Hollywood story. I actually I worked with Lloyd briefly, and we were talking about tragic Hollywood stories, and he said he moved to Los Angeles with his family, I believe from England or Australia, I don't even know. And he said as we were driving from the airport, the driver picked us up, and as we're driving down Sunset Boulevard, I see my face going up on the side of a massive building, and it's just me, and it's like Viva Laughlin premiering, blah blah blah. And he said, and we were on set, and the producer comes in and goes, okay, everybody, so we just been canceled.
Oh no!
If you want to get some lunch, you can. But thank you so much. And he said immediately, all of the entire crew just was like, okay, just starts packing up lights, and all the actors were going, no. Wait, what do you mean? He goes, the actors were just dumbstruck. And he said, so I go home, I tell my family. And as we're in the car driving to the airport, my son goes, Daddy, look. And I turned around and I see them tearing my face off the building.
Oh, that's got
So Lloyd Owen, I am so happy for you that you are in this show. And just because of that heartbreaking tragedy, which is just so hilarious.
That's a great Hollywood story, though.
It is such a Hollywood story, right? So for that, and for Cynthia Day Robinson from Navy, the second Navia from Spartacus, I hope that this show does incredibly well, if for nothing else than for those 2 actors.
I know Ray's been looking forward to this too. Like, and Ray is what you call excitement deficit. He doesn't get excited about a lot of things, but he was pretty excited. If I remember, he was pretty excited about this. So I was kind of hoping you'd be here. So we'll ask him about it tomorrow when he's back. We'll ask him about that tomorrow. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you had a chance to see this Lord of the Rings spot? If so, what did you think about it? Are you excited? Maybe you don't even really care about the series. Maybe you're more like me, where you just cannot wait for this thing to come. Whatever you guys are feeling, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, before we go any further in the show today and get into our main topics, we want to pay some bills here and thank the sponsor of today's episode. Listen, guys, new year, time to get into shape, and our folks over at Peloton are here to help you, and thank you to Peloton for sponsoring this episode. Check this out. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Peloton. Now, look, guys, it's a brand new year. It's 2022. And if you're like me and a lot of other people, you've probably made some kind of fitness resolutions for the new year, as we often do. But let's face it, it's not always easy or convenient or time efficient to get to the gym. It's easy to become bored and bogged down in the mundane of the same old kind of workout routines. It's hard to get motivated with that. But Peloton has your back. Now, of course, we all know Peloton's bikes, the Peloton tread. You know, Ann and I moved into our new house here. And of course, you know that I ordered a Peloton tread because I love my treadmills. But Peloton keeps working out fresh, exciting, and new to keep you motivated in the new year. Because, you know, right now, Peloton is pushing you further with so much new stuff, new classes, new music, new ways to keep you and your workouts fun and motivating at the same time. Now, you guys know me. For years, I love just getting on my treadmill. I don't just get on there to jog. I often just get on there to think or do work or do research. I like doing all that. But on top of all that, they have a whole lot of classes that you can do while you're on the equipment at the same time. And listen, going into the new year, they've got a whole bunch of new stuff. For example, they have boxing classes. Peloton is stepping into the ring with you guys with this newest exercise. No gloves needed. You can discover fast, furious, and fun workouts with Peloton instructors right there in your corner on the app. And they're introducing a whole lot more in terms of daily variety in your workouts. Like, it's easier to stick to your goals when you keep your workouts interesting. Peloton's got a workout for every goal, every day, and every mood you might be in. De-stress from a long day with a 30-minute strength and 20 minutes of cardio. Do a quick 15 minutes of a total body class before work. Whatever works for you to stay motivated while having fun with bike workouts, yoga, meditation, dance, cardio, whatever it is you need. And right now, for a limited time, try the Peloton app for free for 2 months. Then it's just $12.99 a month after that. New members only. So visit onepeloton.com/app to learn more. Now that's 2 months free at OnePeloton. That's OnePeloton.com/app. The offer expires on January 31st and terms may apply. And again, we want to thank Peloton for sponsoring this video. All right, guys, and thank you again to Peloton for supporting your John Campea Show. We're excited about that. I love my treadmills. I really do. I'm on them every day. Anyway, guys, with all that down, let's move into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel needs to be a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Aaron, what is our first main topic today?
Our first main topic comes from Jeremy Flowers. Hi, John. I hope Rob is there. He is, because I want to ask about Picard Season 2. I was really surprised to hear that it's going to premiere on March 3rd, because didn't they just have a shutdown production? Didn't they just have to shut down production due to COVID? I'm super happy, though, because as a Next Generation fan, I totally love Picard Season 1. Do you think that it can make the March 3rd date with the delays? And what are your expectations for Season 2?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, there's a difference of opinion in this room. I love Picard Season 1. I thought it was great. I am like you on that. And like you, I was also kind of surprised when I heard that they have now a release date for March. Because we just talked about not long ago about Picard shutting down all production because like 50 members of the crew got diagnosed with COVID, so they shut the whole production down. Well, here's the thing about that. They weren't shooting Picard Season 2. They're already shooting Picard Season 3. And they're actually already back and on schedule and shooting. But yes, Picard Season 2 is coming in March. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant who write the following. Paramount Plus has finally unveiled the release date for Star Trek Picard Season 2, and it's a bit later than initially expected. Following a thrilling first season, Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, and his crew will return for a new, vastly different adventure on Tuesday. Paramount Plus revealed just when fans can expect Star Trek Picard to return to their screens. Thursday, March the 3rd. Episodes will release weekly on Thursdays. This is a bit later than the initial February timeframe Paramount Plus gave last fall, but it's so close to then that fans will likely forgive it. The streamer also confirmed filming is still underway on Season 3. So once again, what we're talking about here is the shutdown they had with Season 3. I didn't realize that at the time. I actually thought they were still shooting Season 2, to be honest with you, even though they had put out the teasers for it and everything. And seeing John DeLance coming back as Q is always makes my heart feel happy about that. I don't know. Like, living in the era that we live in right now, delays is not a surprise. I mean, we expect delays to happen. Why they're pushing this just from February to March, I don't know. Clearly, there's probably some kind of strategy to it. Discovery is in a hiatus right now, and they may have moved the date to coincide with that. So that might be a part of the strategy there as well. So look, all I'll say for myself is I am very excited about Picard Season 2. I didn't even realize, I probably read it before and didn't know, but I didn't even realize they had greenlit a Season 3 and were already in production about that. So I'm excited to hear about that. But other than that, yeah, that clears up the confusion that they were shooting Season 3 when they shut down, not Season 2 coming in March. Rob, I mean, we live in an era right now where it's nothing new. Every day we hear about things being moved. release dates being moved, production schedules being bumped. Not a big surprise. This is a very small move from February to March. Were you aware that they were already shooting season 3?
Yeah.
And what do you think about the choice of the release dates and everything right now?
Well, I think these also are there's a lot of post-production involved in the creation of these shows. So they brought back Prodigy, Star Trek Prodigy, the animated series, to show more of those, and they sort of gave Discovery a bit of a buffer to continue the post-production on this season.
Right.
And when season 4 of Discovery was greenlit, it's my understanding that a season 5 was also greenlit.
I didn't realize that.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds had a 2-season order to start with, and then Picard had season 2 and 3 as well.
By the way, can I just mention this? I have not watched Strange New Worlds. Is that the one with Janeway with the anime?
No, that's Prodigy.
Prodigy.
Strange New Worlds.
I did check that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, well, that doesn't debut yet. So Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds is the Enterprise.
Yes.
Right. No, and I am looking forward to that.
You've got Lower Decks and
Lower
Prodigy.
Decks I hated. I saw the first little bit. I hated that. I haven't checked out this Prodigy thing. Because I think it looks stupid. I've heard some people say they actually kind of like it.
I will actually say.
Have you watched it?
I have. Of all of the modern Star Trek, I kind of like Prodigy.
I guess I got to check it out.
Now, you know what? I think it's beautifully made. My problem with it fundamentally is that I think that the main characters in Star Trek should be human beings. It's about humanity moving out into the cosmos. This is not that. It's directed more towards children, and it's more of a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque kind of a feel, really. But it's not bad.
Okay,
I mean, I know people are gonna be like, I have something good to say about modern Star Trek. Well, Prodigy is of all the modern Trek shows, I'll watch it. But I think that there's a lot of Star Trek on.
Let me ask you this, and I don't mean to sound morbid at all, because I think we all agree.
Well, I feel that I've been morbid about Star Trek since 2009, but
But I think we all agree that Sir Patrick Stewart is a global treasure. I think we'll all agree about that. Could the fact that they're already in production on season 3, does that have anything to do with Patrick's age? Do you think that just the fact that, we don't know how long, how many more years Patrick can have a very heavy, active shooting schedule and stuff like that, and we should probably get this while we can?
Well, that could be, but I think that it makes sense. These are very, very expensive shows to produce. And starting and stopping becomes expensive. And I think that it makes more sense they rolled right in from season 2 into season 3.
Right.
And I think that makes sense for a show like this because the post-production is so long. And I mean, also Patrick Stewart, they have to get him insured. So that could be part of it. It is called Picard.
But I mean, Aaron would know this, shooting a series. It's one thing to shoot a movie, an actor will go on set for 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Shooting a series, that is a rigorous, heavy schedule. And when I don't even remember how old Patrick Stewart is right now. But the fact that he's not only shooting,
I think he's in his 80s now.
He's in his 80s, shooting series TV and shooting seasons back to back. I mean, that's got to be a lot for anybody.
Right, of course. But again, remember, these are not seasons like in a procedural where you have 22 episodes. These are, 8 to 10 episode seasons. And, similarly, like with Mr. Robot, for example, they block shot the entire season, meaning that let's say there were 10 episodes in a season, they shot all 10 episodes as if it was a massive 10-hour movie. And so even though, yes, season 2 of Picard is already in the can, and they're now shooting season 3, as Rob was saying, financially, it's fiscally responsible if you know that you're going to have, once they did the first season and they saw the fan reaction, they went, okay, we have a hit on our hands. This is not one of those shows that really is going to be dependent on the numbers every week.
Right.
So they go, okay, we know we're going to have 2 more seasons. Let's just go ahead and green light it. That way we can front load a lot of the, more financially, some of the more costly items. I don't think that I don't think that Patrick Stewart's age so much has as much to do with it as just the fiscal responsibility of, cramming it all together. And also, to be honest, as an actor, or as as part of the production in general, it does make more sense to squeeze it all together and then have a longer hiatus. I would rather work nonstop for 6 months and then have 6 months off versus working for 4 months, have 3 months off, go back, and because that also allows people during that longer hiatus to do films, to do other projects that they are interested in. And interestingly enough, what I read last night, Terry Matalas, who was the showrunner for 12 Monkeys and a procedural last year, I think it was like Hawaii Five.
He took over on Picard.
Yeah, he took
Second
over
season.
for season 2. And Terry Matalas was actually the assistant for Brannon Braga, the creator and showrunner of Star Trek Enterprise.
Which was your television debut.
My television debut as prostitute number 1. But yeah, so I
What episode?
It's all connected.
the Carpenter Street episode.
It's all connected.
Yeah, so Terry Matalas, it's great. I was really excited when I saw that he was going back to his Star Trek roots. It just sort of makes sense, and of course, he would be such a great person to lead the show.
And you know what?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Now, here's the thing. I've said for a long time that the best thing on the internet for the last couple of years is easily the Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds fake beef. Like that can go on forever as far as I'm concerned. Prior to that, the other greatest thing on the internet is Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart on their travels. When
They're broing down together.
When
all
they're
over.
out in like the phone booths and they're on the bridges and they're out drinking. I mean, that is like the greatest thing in the world to see. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? We got Picard season 2 coming in March now, a little bit later, but not too far off. How are you guys feeling about that? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With all that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Aaron, what is our second main topic today?
Yes, our second main topic comes in from Boba Frank. He says, "Hey crew, if I'm going to be completely honest, I have to say that I haven't loved Boba Fett so far. I was more excited for it than
Mandalorian?
I was more excited for it that Mandalorian season 3, but the first 3 episodes have left me feeling flat. Tonight, I've got my fingers crossed that it will turn the corner. If you get this in time for Wednesday's show, what did you think of the new episode?"
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Boba Frank. And yeah, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I was almost more excited for Book of Boba Fett than I was for Mandalorian season 3. I mean, I was still more excited for Mandalorian season 3, but the way they used Boba Fett in Mandalorian season 2, that ending with them taking out Bib Fortuna, I think it's fair to say my anticipation level for this was huge, massively huge. I have not hated the series, but I have been disappointed by it. And it's especially surprising when you realize this is the same team doing Mandalorian. It's still Jon Favreau. And when you look at and it's not like Jon Favreau just got lucky with Mandalorian season 1. He followed that up with Mandalorian season 2, which a lot of people think was even better than Mandalorian season 1. And so I've been kind of surprised with the level of quality or lack thereof that we've had in Boba Fett through the first 3 episodes. I thought episode 2 was pretty good. I liked episode 2. Why they've brought the Mos Espa Vespas into this thing, I have no idea, but we've had a lot of reason to question Boba Fett's intelligence, his management skills, all that kind of stuff. So we go into episode 3 or episode 4. I will say this. I thought episode 4 was a good episode. I liked it. I thought it was a good episode, but boy, did it start shaky. And boy, does it continue to cause us to question the basic intelligence of Boba Fett. Like, I'm not going to say much because I don't want to go into real key specific details, but there's a scene where he's hovering over something and we're all just like, well, we all know what's about to happen, right? Like if you saw the episode, you know we're talking. We all know what's about to happen. The only person in this realm of reality that didn't know it was about to happen apparently was Boba Fett. And like that happens, and I'm like, eh. But again, I thought once you got past the first part of the episode, which again was pretty weak, and why the neo-techno EDM kid gangs in Tatooine, that whatever. It's dumb. It's so bad. But once they move beyond that stuff in the story, I actually thought it picked up, and I ended up by the time the episode ended going, okay, all right, I like this episode. not as good as almost any episode of Mandalorian, but I still liked it. Anyway, Rob, where have you been at as far as being through Boba Fett episode 3, and what did you generally feel about Boba Fett episode 4?
I feel this show is incredibly schizophrenic, and my response to this show is I feel like I'm being whipped around, I'm being dragged behind a car by a chain, and I get thrown all over the place. Some of it's good. I think some of it's needless. I thought the first half of this episode was pretty useless. I mean, the idea that I can't spoil it. I don't want to spoil anything, but something happens. They reacquire something in this episode that they were missing. And I'm like, it was just, the reacquisition of this item was stupid. I mean, all it did was once again diminish Boba Fett's abilities. And I would have liked to have seen, they don't show him being the badass he was in Mandalorian. He kind of bumbles his way. There's actually a scene where he's literally bumbling through a kitchen. Can I say that?
Sure.
And I'm just like, really? Come on, man. And why do you have to take this character? This guy has to be the most badass dude ever. And all they do is undercut him at every turn. Although I like Tamora Morrison and I like how he's playing the character, but these action scenes, like, forget all that. Although that said, the latter half of this episode, I enjoyed a heck of a lot more. And so for me, this episode encompasses both the greatness and the worst of this show. It's not as bad as the last episode, but you know what? Why you can't convince me you can ride around on a bantha and move between element places with any kind of speed. Where he has speeder bikes. Why doesn't he steal another speeder bike? He'd get around a lot faster. Why aren't Fennec Shand and him walking around or flying around on speeder bikes? It's just, I'm like, why do anyway?
There was another thing about it that just made me go, I mean, look, when you look at the show overall in its entirety, I thought for a lot of years, the reason I would not be excited for a Boba Fett movie or series is we should not look behind the mask. We shouldn't. Look, the reason Boba Fett was such a popular character for decades, despite, people would always ask me, they say, John, why is this Boba Fett so popular? He hardly did anything in the movies. You barely saw him. He hardly had any lines. I'm like, that's it exactly. There was a mystery to him. He's the guy who came out of nowhere and took down Han Solo.
That's right.
All that kind of stuff. This idea of, like, even when Josh Trank was going to do the movie, and I liked Josh Trank as a filmmaker very much at the time, but I was like, I don't want to see Boba Fett coming home, taking off his mask, have Boba Fett Jr. run up and hand him his brandy after a long, hard day of bounty hunting and, say, then the wife gets home from work and says, I got dinner tonight, dear. And then he goes, makes dinner. And I don't want to see that. Mandalorian season 2 changed my mind. It changed my mind because you're right. Say whatever you want about these episodes of Boba Fett. Tamora is playing the hell out of it. Like I thought the best moment in this episode, maybe even the best moment in the entire series so far, other than when he came back to find the Tusken Raiders village destroyed. That was really good. That was a really emotional moment. But there was a scene in this episode where just him and Fennec are just sitting down talking. And him talking about his plans. And I'm like, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
But it says something when in a Boba Fett show that the best scene is when nothing is happening. But again, it was a good moment. Oh, and I got it. Chrysanthemum, Black Chrysanthemum. There was a scene with him in this that I also thought was pretty good. I got to say, I like that scene too.
I got to say, give Jennifer Beals her own show.
Give her more to do.
I love her. She shows up. I love her acting. I mean, she's like blowing everybody else away. I never thought, I took my passion and made it happen.
Yep.
And I never thought that, like, she's flash dancing up this place and I'm all there for it.
In a world made of steel, made of stone.
Jennifer Beals is the L word.
No, I love the L word. Yes. But I mean, I never thought, in 1983 when she's eating pasta and sticking her feet between Michael Nori's legs at dinner.
She forever changed a generation of sweatshirt wearer.
Yes,
wearing.
she did.
I'm a huge fan of Flashdance.
Oh, who is not?
I'm a huge fan.
Oh, it's great.
And Adrian Lyne's movie that got delayed, I'm so bummed out. Do you know Flashdance is going to be 40 years old next year?
No, it's not. You're lying. That's
40
Fake news.
40 years old next year.
Real? Well, how old is Jennifer Beals?
Well, that's the thing. I don't care.
She looks amazing.
She looks
She must
great.
be like
Bealed
80
by
right
Jennifer
now.
whenever.
Oh my
Just saying.
God. Wow.
So anyway, I again, sum it up. I thought this at least episode was an improvement over episode 3. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, questions for you guys. How are you feeling about the Book of Boba Fett right now? What did you think about episode 4? Good, bad? Was it an improvement? Was it not good enough? Whatever you guys are feeling, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Aaron, what is our third main topic today?
It comes from us from eHub. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Hey, John and gang, it's almost here. We are a month and a half away from The Batman, and I haven't been this excited for a movie since Endgame. IMDb posted the movie's runtime, and it's clocked at 2 hours and 55 minutes. Woo! Do you think this runtime is legit, and what are your thoughts if it is? Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And obviously, we just talked about that. My most anticipated television show coming is the Lord of the Rings show. My most anticipated movie is The Batman. I am dying to see this. I think the trailers have been fantastic. I was excited. I mean, we knew for a while that Ben Affleck wasn't going to be attached anymore. Sad. But, when I heard that they got Matt Reeves, I'm like, okay, if it can't be Ben, Matt Reeves is a pretty damn good choice. And then they shocked the world when they announced Robert Pattinson. Shocked the world. Causing the outcry, millions of voices crying out in terror. Twilight boy. Yeah. Twilight boy.
How did I miss you making that phrase a thing?
I mean, it's
Twilight boy.
it's somebody wrote to me the other day and said, I was at work and I heard a couple of coworkers talking and somebody said Twilight boy. And I stopped, do you watch the John Campea Show? He's like, yeah. It's so anyway. So I guess it's getting around. Twilight boy is a thing. But millions of voices who don't understand that this guy, Robert Pattinson, has been slowly and quietly becoming one of the best actors in the world that every director in Hollywood is dying to work with when he did this big succession of incredible performances in smaller indie films. But I got it. People who may not know that and only knew him from Twilight were like, Twilight boy? How they getting the Twilight boy? But they did, and he's our new Batman, and I think it's going to be great. And I think the trailers have been fantastic and all that kind of stuff. One of the big questions that starts to surround movies like this lately is that people in different eras have never asked. But in the last 5 years, a lot of fans started asking about an anticipated upcoming movie. How long is it going to be? Now, maybe no more than Ray. Because Ray is as soon as the answer goes over 90 minutes, he's like, I'm out.
It'll take him 10 sittings to watch this entire film.
It'll take him several goes to get through Batman. Because some whispers started to go around yesterday that Batman was going to clock in at close to 3 hours. Now, this didn't come from any real legitimate source. But where it does come from is IMDb. If you look at the top of the Batman page on IMDb, it's listed PG-13, which it is, and at 2 hours and 55 minutes. Again, I want to emphasize that none of the studios have confirmed this. None of the major trades have confirmed this. I also need to emphasize this, that IMDb, while it is rock solid for your information about movies that have already come out, it's a little shaky on movies that have not yet come out because so many various people have access to change information on it. So you can't take what IMDb says about an upcoming movie to the bank. However, there have been several instances when IMDb has an incorrect piece of information out, and then it usually gets corrected pretty quickly. This listing of 2 hours and 55 minutes has been up for over 24 hours now, and they haven't changed it. So let's just say, before we get into any deep discussion here, that I don't know if this is true, since all it's saying on IMDb, but hasn't come down. But for the sake of the argument for the rest of the segment, we're going to assume it's real for now, even though it very well may not be. But let's go with it. 2 hours and 55 minutes is a long-ass movie. That's a long film. Especially for a film that it's the first. John, this ain't the first Batman movie. No, but it's the first this Batman movie. Now, normally you'd think of the sequel or the conclusion of maybe being longer, hence, Endgame and stuff like that. But at 3 hours, it's kind of long. And somebody was asking me yesterday, would 3 hours be too long? My answer for that is kind of the same that I give on most of these things. there is no such thing as the right length for a movie. Every movie has its own unique right length. A lot of great movies are like 95 minutes, 100 minutes, whatever. A lot of great movies are 150 minutes, right? It just depends. Every movie has a runtime that is best for it. It's a facade and it's a lie to say, you know, the movies that come in at like 110 minutes are best. No, that's bullshit. Oh, it's best when a movie's 3 hours. No, that's bullshit. You know, 3 hours is way too long for a lot of things. 100 and maybe 2.5 hours might be too short for others. So it doesn't matter. So I don't really care about that. But what does the runtime tell us? Here's my thought. A Batman movie that's going to be clocking in, a first Batman movie that's going to be clocking in somewhere around the 3 hour mark, to me says Matt Reeves is looking to do a lot of world building. A lot of world building. And it also tells me that they've already got their plans for their sequels. I don't think this is a situation where they've got the first one, they're going to make sure it does well, and then they'll move forward and start developing the second one. I think a 3 hour runtime of a Batman film right now, it says tons of world building, and they're laying groundwork for the second and third films. I think at this point. So whether 3 hours is the right runtime for this film or not, we won't know until we see the movie. We might watch it and think 3 hours is too short. We might watch it and think it was way too long. But it tells me, at least what I'm taking away from this, is that they've already got plans for the future and they're laying the groundwork for that. Rob, you're seeing this potential maybe runtime of 255, which it may or may not be, but assuming it is for a moment, what do you take away from that? And is that a good move for the first film in a new franchise?
Well, it excites me. I like long, sprawling, epic movies. And I think what's really interesting is for a lot of superhero movies, you introduce your superhero, you give him his scenario or her scenario, what the deal is, you introduce the villain, and then the story is about the conflict with that villain. I think there's a lot more going on in this movie. I think, like The Dark Knight alluded to, I think they're going to deal with inner city politics. They're going to deal with the fact that there's not just one villain. You've got Penguin, you've got Riddler, you've got Catwoman. So this film, I think, is going to be hugely ambitious in scope and emotion and storytelling, and it's going to be broader in terms of a broader canvas than we're used to with I'll bet when people look at this, they'll call this, and I have no reason to believe this, I'm just saying, if this runtime is true, people are going to say this is the Godfather or the Goodfellas of superhero movies.
Those are big words.
Wow.
I know. That's
Really?
all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I know. Look at you. You're horrified, right?
I'm not horrified.
But I mean, in terms of like the scope of it all, you know, Coppola once said that The Godfather is a movie about a king and his three sons.
King Lear.
Okay, well, it's the assuming kind of, but assuming who's going to take the mantle of that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just about the mafia. I think this movie is going to be like that. That it's a much broader story than we're used to, and no one's going to be like, it's just a Batman movie.
Right.
That's what I think.
Aaron, first of all, you've been seeing the trailers for this, all this kind of stuff. You hear about this runtime. Number one, you hear, if it is, for the sake of running 3 hours, what message do you take away from that? And where's your anticipation level right now for the Batman?
The message that I take away from that is that I need to bring an empty 2-liter bottle with me. Because I don't think that my aim will be as spot on as yours is for obvious reasons. But if you remember, I did wet my pants when I saw Endgame. I actually, finally, I mean, the Kegels can only go so far before you get muscle fatigue. And I was not about to miss the end credit. And then I got to the point where I had to go so bad that I couldn't stand up. And Tom was like, go to the fucking bathroom. I was like, I can't stand up. If I stand up, it's just going to happen. And he was like, go to the bathroom. It was, so that happened. So I actually wet my pants because that's my dedication. That is my dedication.
That's how much Endgame had you enthralled.
That's how much Endgame had me, is that I was so unwilling to miss a moment
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that that's probably going to happen. So if anybody wants to send me a care package of Depends, that is how I will see. No, I really think that what I'm going to need for you, John or Rob, whenever you guys go to one of to the premiere, or because I'm always the second fiddle. You know, it's like, oh, well, Rob couldn't go to this premiere, so do you want to come, Aaron? So when you guys go to see the premiere or a screening, then I'm going to need you to find a point in the like hour and 30-minute section where you go, okay, when this happens, go to the bathroom. That's your cue. No, I'm really excited about this. And I agree with you, Rob, when it comes to world building. You know, I don't think that there's any character that I'm personally more excited for or who has gotten more of a build-up than Robert Pattinson in this, except for Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I mean, Catwoman has been done. You know, I don't think that we've ever really gotten back to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. You know, she kind of really, Halle Berry's, we saw what happened with that. And Anne Hathaway, don't think that
that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But I really think that there's a lot of excitement about Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I think that they really want to do right by the character, especially for this film. I think the casting is fantastic. And so it's not just about the Batman. Obviously, that is our main focus. But I think that we're also going to see them setting Zoe Kravitz up for her own Catwoman film.
Really?
I'm just putting it out there.
That's your big prediction on that one.
My prediction is that they are setting up Zoe Kravitz for a Catwoman franchise for a Catwoman film.
I'll tell you this. But before I tell you what I'm about to tell you, remember that we had heard from people inside Marvel when Eternals was coming that people inside the halls of Disney felt that Eternals may just be the best movie Marvel had ever produced. Okay? I got really excited. I like Eternals.
I do too.
It ain't the best movie Marvel's ever produced.
No.
But I liked it. It was good.
Me too.
So, but just remember that I've had some people inside Studio Systems say, we think this might be the best movie we've ever done, at least in terms of Marvel. And I don't think it turned out that way. That being said, I did talk to one person that's connected to Warner Brothers who said, you ever hear like the Dallas Cowboys are saying it's Super Bowl or bust? How'd that work out for you, Cowboys? But you know, they said it's Oscar nominations or bust. That's what they feel like with this Batman movie. They think there are legit Oscar nominations coming. And like not just the technical awards, the technical awards are awesome. But they're thinking some of the big level awards are actually within reach. Now, that's not going to come anytime soon because if there are Oscars in the future for the Batman, that's going to have to be next year's Academy Awards. Still, high hopes. But then again, we heard the same thing from Disney about Eternals. And while that turned out to be good, we'll have to see. But man, I'll tell you what, the more I see, we just had his picture up here. I'll bring it up again. The more I see of Colin Farrell.
That is not Colin Farrell.
Oh, that's Colin Farrell.
That is not Colin Farrell.
That's Colin Farrell's
Penguin. No.
I would never know. I would never guess it.
What?
Yeah, he plays Penguin. That's him. And the guy in the trailer going, I got you. Yeah, that's Colin Farrell.
How many hours of prosthetics? Did he gain weight, or is that a fat,
no, it's all body stuff they put on him.
Yeah, we should get Colin Farrell and Jared Leto together in his outfit.
Totally.
They could go on a road trip together.
Oh, absolutely.
Penguin and Paolo Gucci.
But I just remember watching the trailers for it and seeing him in it. I'm thinking, every time a comic book movie fan sees a trailer for a comic book movie, they start going, oh, that's best actor. And it's really stuff. But I got to admit, I got caught up in the jump thinking, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Colin Farrell gets the best supporting actor nomination. And don't forget, they're even talking about making an HBO Max series for Colin Farrell's Penguin, which I am all on board. So clearly, they got big plans for this Batman in a 3-hour runtime, if true.
Right.
Might be telling us a lot. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Now, understanding that it's very, very plausible that this is not going to be 2 hours and 55 minutes. I mean, it's only on IMDb, and that may or may not be true. But if it is, how do you guys feel about it? Do you think that's too long for a first chapter? Are you like, give me as much as you can? Whatever you guys are feeling about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Hey, listen, before we roll into our live questions that you guys have been sending in, I thought we'd play a little game amongst ourselves. No prizes on the line. We're going to play a little game of fill in the blank. So here's how it goes for you guys. I'm going to throw out a statement. You tell me the best word or phrase that should end that statement and why it is. And Rob, we're going to start over with you, and we're going to start with this question. The movie that will win Best Picture this year is blank. The movie that will win Best Picture this year is blank.
You mean in 2021 or 2022?
This upcoming Oscars.
This upcoming is not what you would expect.
Is not what you'd expect. Explain.
Well, that was the first thing that came to mind. I mean, I think that everyone is expecting a certain front runner. I think this movie that's going to win is going to be more like a Moonlight.
It's going to be one that comes out of left field.
It's going to come out of left field. I don't think it's necessarily going to be The Power of the Dog, which a lot of people are talking about. I think it's going to be something that we don't yet expect.
So the movie that will win Best Picture this year is not what you expect. Aaron, movie that will win Best Picture of the year this year is...
King Richard. What kind of actor would I be if I weren't promoting the movie that I'm in?
I mean, that's true. And good luck at the SAG Awards, by the way.
Thank you very much.
With King Richards. And of course, the answer is, my thinking that the movie that will win Best Picture this year is West Side Story.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of reasons, but of course, the most important one is I just thought it was the best movie of the year. I'm still, and Rob, you tried for a year to get me excited about this movie. And I'm like, nope, this movie's not going to be that great.
Dude, the maestro making a musical. Come on now.
I still am agog and aghast how great that movie is. Another example that remakes can not only be okay, they can be better than the originals. And I think this is better than the original. So for me, it's West Side Story. All right, let's go over to the next one here, shall we? Fill in the blank number 2 is... Andrew Garfield returning to play Spider-Man again in an Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be blank. Aaron, Andrew Garfield returning to play Spider-Man in an Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be blank.
A surprise to no one.
Really?
I mean, I feel like he's the obvious choice. I feel like he hasn't had his full run yet. He's having so much fun. I mean, I was reading about how he hid it from Emma Stone that he was going to be coming back in the movie, and he said, and he seems to have so much joy around this character, and from what I've read and from what I've seen and heard from you also, he is kind of the most beloved of the Spider-Man, excuse me. And I think that we have not seen the end of him, and I think that he has not had his full run yet. It doesn't feel like Tobey Maguire, we kind of felt like, yeah, it's, okay, it's time to pass it on. I don't feel that way with Andrew Garfield. I feel like he's got at least 1, maybe 2 more in him.
All right. Rob, Andrew Garfield returning to play Spider-Man again in The Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be...
spectacular.
There
you go. It would be spectacular. Peter Parker, the spectacular Spider-Man.
And I am going to say Andrew Garfield returning to play Spider-Man again, The Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be unlikely. I don't think you're going to find anybody who would love it more than me. Like, I've been banging on the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man drum.
Venom 3, dude.
For
That's what's going to happen.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. But honestly, even though as much as I will celebrate it and break out the party hats, if it does, I'm going to, at this point, say it's probably going to remain unlikely. All right. Let's go on to another one here, shall we? This one is simply this. The chances of a Matrix 5 are, and I will go myself on this, the chances of a Matrix 5 are ridiculous. It ain't gonna. This was an example of one they never should have come back to. It was too little, too late. They made a pretty piss poor movie. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, what is beyond opinion is that it tanked horribly. It just was a bad idea from the start. The chances of a Matrix 5 are ridiculous. Rob, what about you? What are the chances of a Matrix 5 are blank?
Virtually non-existent.
Explain.
Well, I don't think that they're going to make one, but I'm saying virtually, so maybe that isn't true because it's the virtual world, and maybe we'll go back because living in a Matrix making a Matrix 5 would be just like something they would do in the Matrix. So I think virtually non-existent.
All right, Aaron, we'll go over to you. The chances of a Matrix 5 are
nil.
nil.
I mean, I for the same reasons why you guys just said, specifically, Hollywood is in the business of making money. And if it's not making money, it's the reason why we continue to see the Fast franchise pump out more movies. Why? Because they keep making money. And people said, well, why are we getting more of these movies? Because people continue to pay to go see them. As long as people are paying to go see it, they will continue to make more of them. When people are not paying to see it, they're not going to continue making more of them. And I also think that Keanu Reeves is an actor of integrity. He seems to be a human of integrity based on the things that we read about him. And I just don't, he just doesn't seem like someone he doesn't need it. And if it were something that we're going to push the storyline more, if there were more story to be told, they might have greenlit 2 of them at the same time, like they did for 2 and 3,
right.
Shot them back to back. But I think that they knew that it was going to be a stretch to get a 4th one, to get audiences to stomach a 4th one as it was. And whether you like the movie or not, the bottom line is it didn't make money. So they're going to move on.
All right. Speaking of moving on, let's do one last fill in the blank.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. One last fill in the blank. Moonfall will go down in Hollywood history as blank. Aaron, Moonfall will go down in Hollywood history as
Forgettable.
You're not excited about it?
I'm just not excited about it, honestly. I mean, I think that it's filled with a wonderful cast. I just don't. I'm not excited about it, and I don't think that it has. I don't think that it's going to. I think it falls under the. I was going to use the word pastiche, but I know that I'll be using that wrong. I just wanted to say that word again. I think that it kind of. For people who are not already invested in it for some other reason, I think they're just going to go, oh, it's like that movie, The Martian. Oh, it's like that movie with Amy Adams. Oh, it's like Gravity. I think that we're a little tired of the moon exploration movies, and you can twist it and turn it any way you want, but it kind of falls under that same heading, and I think people are bored of it. I am. I'm not excited.
Yeah, Moonfall will go down in Hollywood history as an afterthought. This is one of those, when they brought it up at CinemaCon, it's like, none of us have heard of this. And then they play, it's like, okay, this is going to be one of these kind of spectacle movies. It's going to come, it's going to go. I mean, Ray may get a Moonfall tattoo on his arm. By the way, as you were speaking there, Ray's been texting me. So Ray didn't show up this morning, and I just got a text.
Is he okay?
Well, here's what happened. I just got a text on my watch saying not going to be able to make it in. I'm like, oh, okay. So he'll tell me afterwards. I didn't realize this. He had sent me like 4 messages before that. He did a COVID home test and he tested positive for COVID on it. I didn't see those ones, or else I would have canceled today's show. But the reason I'm seeing it now is because he's been texting me, and again, he goes, oh, wait, I totally read the instructions wrong.
Oh my God.
I did the new test. I'm negative.
Mother.
So I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see the other ones before the show started. So Ray, glad you're naked, because Ray was over here last night watching Mandalorian, or watching Book of Boba Fett with me. So he's
breathing all over me.
He
gave me
I
a
did the
snack
test wrong.
yesterday.
I'm negative. Okay, so okay, I'm like, you're sitting there reading. I'm like reading these texts on my watch. Like, oh my God. Okay, so no, he's fine. Ray's fine.
But see, this is why I don't trust the home tests. You know,
well, he did it wrong. He says it's his own human error that he did it wrong.
Exactly. You know, like no, no.
Okay. Well, anyway,
glad to hear
that
you're okay, Ray.
Glad to hear that he's
Happy
fine.
to hear that.
So anyway, Moonfall will go down in Hollywood history as an afterthought. Rob, Moonfall will go down in Hollywood history as
an earth-shattering smash hit.
You and Ray are both very excited about this.
Please
Why?
explain.
Are you kidding me? A movie about the moon as some alien base of operations for some entity where half the planet's going to be destroyed. Who doesn't want to see that? And you've got Samuel Tarly out there, you know. That movie looks. I saw, by the way, John. I wanted to stop, and I had to after I did my interview I did yesterday. I was taking Elizabeth to work, and I saw my first Moonfall billboard. And it's a billboard, but then part of the billboard is graffiti that's sprayed on it, like, the moon sucks. I'm like, I wanted to stop and take a picture. I'm like, this is the greatest billboard I've ever seen. Because clearly this movie is not taking itself seriously. And if they're not going to, I will. I'm going to take this movie seriously.
Okay.
All right. So that'll do it. Wrapping up our little fill in the blank. I like doing fill in the blank. I like that. You guys tell us if you like that or not. Maybe we'll do some more in the future. All right, guys. With that all down, let's now move over and start taking the live questions that you guys have been sending in. As soon as I get everything set up properly, because I don't have it set up properly. As I take a second and kill time. Give me a moment here.
And I have those other questions whenever
you have those other ones ready to go, but we will get these ones done first. Sorry, I accidentally logged out. I will log back in, and we will get this all up and running. Okay, now let me try it. Aha, there we go. Okay, now let's go over and start taking the live comments and questions that you guys sent in. This is the glory of doing these shows live, guys. You can't control it. Things go out of hand all the time. Okay, so we will start off here with the live ones from, oh, there we go. I went too far. Okay. Live questions start coming in from, we are going to say it comes in from, here we go, Suthius. And Suthius writes, 30 minutes of flashback is a little too long in my opinion. I agree. We're talking about Book of Boba Fett. I agree. I don't, flashback should give context to what's going on presently. It shouldn't be the story. And they've done that badly with Boba Fett the whole time. Like every episode spent too long in flashbacks. And I agree with you, Suthius. Cincinnati's 5-star Barber writes, hey everybody, watched the first 2 episodes of The Peacemaker last night and almost died laughing harder than ever. And that intro though, LOL. We are now 13 hours, actually 12 hours and 48 minutes. Countdown, 12 hours and 48 minutes away from Peacemaker episode 4. You got to watch episode 5, Cincinnati's 5-star Bengal. And by the way, congrats on that Bengals win. They got a big task ahead of them though this week in Tennessee. But watch episode 3. I think it's the best one of them yet. Rob, you saw the first 3? Yeah?
Yeah. The show delights me to no end. Let me just say that. And I mean, what's so funny about this show is I honestly, like I said, it's the distillation of James Gunn. It's both sides of James Gunn and
the slither and the super side.
The slither and the super side. And I just, I really wish I could have been like an executive at Warner Brothers who sat down to watch that first episode.
Oh my God.
You know, like, what did we allow him to make? And then when you watch, because come on, that between the singing and the end of that episode, and then Eagly just inching right up and looking lovingly at his master. I mean, come on. That was the greatest thing ever.
I know you watched the first episode.
I watched the first 2.
Oh, so you got the first 2
When did the
down.
third one come? When does this show come out?
They dropped the first 3 episodes at once.
3.
They dropped all 3 episodes at once, so the third one's already there.
No, I saw the first 2, and then I saw a preview of the third one, but I didn't, and that was last night.
But it's full. It's there, so there's probably a preview for it. But if you also look, there's the full episode.
Okay, great.
Is there.
Okay, so I'll watch that.
And I think the
tonight.
third one was the best episode of the 3 of them.
So I would love to have seen I would love to be a fly on the wall for the Warner Brothers first viewing. I would also have loved to see to be a fly on the wall for the FCC. For their first viewing, or the rated, whatever, the people who give the ratings, and the people the censorship board,
TV ratings,
the TV rated, the censorship board, and I also would love to be in the room when one of the Make-A-Wish kids watched their hero John Cena and be like, oh my gosh, that's that guy that came and visited me when I was in the hospital. Let's watch his show.
What's he doing to that girl?
What's he doing? I'm hoping that all the Make-A-Wish kids are now adults and healthfully watching this show with the understanding.
Mom, I found your microphone. I'm just a sing just like.
Somebody sent me a meme once. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was a kid finding their mom's sex toys, and it was because if you look at Andy's 2 toys in Toy Story, what are they named? Buzz and Woody. Oh, so it's like, Mom, I found your Buzz and Woody. So anyway, I don't know why we just went there. Let's move on, shall we?
Thanks, John
Let's go on to the next one here. Let's see. JMB official writes, it's about time Amber Heard starts to be blackballed from Hollywood. I cannot stand how Depp was replaced and canceled while Heard was free to keep acting despite evidence of dealing the same abuse. Here's the thing, JMB. Listen, this is not what people like to hear, but sorry. Now, there is another court case coming up in America, and it will be interesting to see what happens there. But there was a trial. There was a court case, and it ruled against Johnny Depp. As a matter of fact, the judges and the appellate judges all said, the facts of the case point to the accusations against Johnny Depp are substantively true. That's court. You can think whatever you want to think. And now listen, we're going to have to revisit this too once an American case happens, because maybe it goes the other way. But I just love how people who are not there, who are not in the courtroom, who haven't actually, were not in the room where it happened, to quote Hamilton, they all know. We know what happens. We know what's true. Well, no, we don't. So that's why we rely on the court. And then when things don't go their way, they say, well, the judges were bought off. Well, it went to the appellate court, and the appellate court says there's no reason for this to be allowed an appeal. And he wasn't even allowed an appeal because they thought the evidence was so overwhelming against Johnny Depp that's it. Now, maybe that changes in the American courts, in which case we'll have to revisit. But in this country, where we live, as long as like WB's investigation said she was fine, the court said she didn't do anything wrong. If a court says otherwise, fine. But in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. And so we'll go with that. Now, again, once the American case happens, if they find differently, well, then we got to revisit it. But in the meantime, no. Amber Heard is exactly where she should be. As a result of the court cases, as a result of Warner Brothers' own internal investigation, as a result of all that, Zack Snyder is standing by Amber Heard. He decided to put her in his Justice League version, regardless. Jason Momoa stands by her. So again, if a new court case happens and it comes out differently, well, then we have new information and we have to reevaluate. But for now, everything is exactly as it should be.
Well, did you also, going back to my theory that there's always what the general public hears about someone is always the tip of the iceberg. And if someone is sort of canceled or fired without question, that they're usually just using that as the oh, well, this is the reason why we're firing him, but we're not going to totally out all of the bad behavior. Have you guys heard about what Brian Cox from Succession said about Johnny Depp in his memoir?
Yeah.
The reason why he turned down the role in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have it pulled up if I need to read it.
What exactly did he say? He
said, he was talking about how he said, Cox passed on this Brian Cox, who plays the patriarch in the movie in the TV show Succession. I keep getting my movies and TV shows confused these days. Another reason Cox passed on the role was the franchise's star Johnny Depp, who the actor revealed he isn't exactly fond of. He says, and I quote, "Another thing with Pirates of the Caribbean is that it's very much the Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow show. And Depp, personable though I'm sure he is so overblown, so overrated. I'm off." And then he says, the whole thing. Anyway, but he basically goes on to say that Johnny Depp, when he was playing Edward Scissorhands, he said, what did he really do? He didn't do anything. If you put on all that makeup and you put on those scissor hands, the acting is done for you. He didn't do anything in that movie, and he hasn't done anything since. Like, Brian Cox goes full scorched earth on Johnny Depp.
Wow.
And so that reveals to me this is not saying that Brian Cox's word is.
Well, he doesn't know him personally. He doesn't know Depp.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Brian Cox's word about Johnny Depp is the word of the industry, but I'm saying clearly there is a reputation here that Johnny Depp's, quote, cancellation, if that's what we're going to call it, may go beyond this court case and may go beyond the Amber Heard situation. And maybe what happened with Amber Heard is just the opportunity that people who have been wanting to be out of the Johnny Depp business are using, and that it's not just that. But I feel like these situations, when someone gets, oh, well, they're done. I usually find that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. And I massively respect Brian Cox. I've loved him ever since he was in X-Men 2. And he is probably the number one actor on television right now, like just winning everything for Succession.
Well, he was the first Hannibal Lecter.
And he was that's right.
And he was so good.
But I will say this, I have to disagree with Mr. Cox. I think regardless of what anything else is going on, if you're just talking about Johnny Depp's acting abilities, when he's not playing the comical character, I think when Johnny Depp's on his game, he is a hell of an actor. I mean, just personally me, but...
Oh, yeah.
But we'll anyway, let's move on here. Next up, we've got Sam Fisher writes, episode 4 negotiation scene was the best scene so far. That was a good scene, but not even my favorite scene. I thought the scene where just Fennec and Boba were just sitting down outside talking. Like, I honestly thought that might have been the best thing we've seen in the series so far, but that is just me. All right, next up, we've got Suthius who writes, the one thing that got people excited didn't seem... I know. Did you catch that? There's a moment, we won't give it away, but there's a moment where you just hear... boo 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 boo, which is from the Mandalorian theme, right? And I was like, wait, what's about to happen? But then nothing happened, and we won't give away the context of it. Did you catch that when those notes started to hit? I mean, everybody got excited for a second, and then nothing happened. But well, maybe that's foreshadowing of something to come. All right, Russell Amador writes, the Batman will be seen in IMAX. Mark my words. I'll be seeing it in an AMC Prime theater myself personally, but
we'll probably see it together, I would imagine.
I imagine we probably will be.
I won't be invited to that.
It won't be the premiere though. It won't be. I've never once been invited to a Batman premiere. So I don't anticipate I will be invited to this premiere. So we'll probably, maybe we'll all go see it together. All right. Raymond Verada writes, with the music in the end, is Mando going to show up? Again, one can only guess. Listen, so they kind of said last week that in next week's episode, when we see the meeting of Boba Fett and Fennec. So obviously they showed us a continuation or expansion of a scene from Mandalorian where, so it's... I'm guessing at some point Boba Fett will catch up in his flashbacks to when he meets Mandalorian. Because, I mean, obviously in this thing, he's been hunting to find his armor again. We know he finds his armor in Mandalorian at season 2. So I'm going to guess is that a safe assumption? Or do you think they're going to bypass that?
I mean, I can't imagine that the Mandalorian is not going to be in this show. I mean, Boba Fett was in Mandalorian. Why wouldn't you bring Mandalorian back to being Boba Fett?
Yeah, I think there's probably something there to that. All right, Rafael Castillo writes, RIP to, I read about this, to Yvette Mimu. Us older genre fans will know her from The Time Machine and Disney's The Black Hole. I didn't remember her from The Black Hole. Yeah, so she passed away just... she was 80. She passed away at 80.
She was one of those actresses that when I was a little kid, I'm like, ooh, I like girls. She played Weena in The Time Machine, the girl from the future that Rod Taylor met. And I was like, I want to go to that future, Rod.
I don't remember her from The Black Hole, though.
Yeah,
but then again, it's been a long time since I've watched
She was
Black
one of the
Hole.
crew members of the Palomino.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, next up.
Dr. Hans
We've
Reiner.
got Cutter Hale who writes, Jackass Forever tickets went on sale today. Super excited for this movie. It's in my top 5 most anticipated movies of the year. I cannot wait for this movie. I was saying the other day, I never liked any of the Jackass stuff, like on TV. And then the Jackass 1 came out, wasn't a big fan of it. Jackass 2 came out, wasn't a big fan of it. And I have no idea why. But then Jackass 3 came out, and I loved it. Like, it was one of the most fun times I had at the movie theater that year. So I've been interested in this. I think the promos for this, remember they did a
Yes, I was just about to say that at CinemaCon.
What did they do again for that?
Well, they had I guess he was the president of the studio.
Paramount, yeah.
Yeah, they had a whole video where he was being shot out of a cannon with Johnny Knoxville. Johnny Knoxville was like, okay, I'm going to shoot you. And then he was in the kind of a Super Dave Osborne type of car.
Yes.
And then the car was shot out onto the stage, and then he gets out and he takes
the
his helmet
Paramount
off.
guy.
Yeah, and he takes the jacket off, and and he's got his suit underneath. It was a nice stunt, you know, in a year that was celebrity free. It was a fun break from the traditional things that we had seen some of the other studios do. But I have to say, I've never been particularly interested in Jackass. It's fine. I'm not the target demographic. I can accept that. So I don't need to like it for it to be good. But there was something about this trailer, and maybe it's the fact that they're all a little bit older now.
Right.
And so there's just something about these guys that are, you know, my Gen X generation where I go, oh, great, old fucks like me and trying to do stupid shit. So I can appreciate it now for some reason. And then they have a whole new group of younger people that they're torturing and, you know, making do the really dumb stuff. But I for some reason that trailer really hit me a different way, and I was like, you know what, I think I actually might be interested in this.
Yeah, I'm excited for it myself. I can't wait to see it.
No Moonfall, dude.
All right, next up, Elizabeth Gerardo writes, I keep telling myself that I will not stay up late for Boba Fett, but then my curiosity gets the best of me. Yeah, I was ready to not stay up to watch it, and I left it to Ray. Like on yesterday's show, I left it to Ray. So Ray, I mean, we're over watching it at midnight now, right? And Ray goes, no, let's give it one more shot. It was like, all right, so we did it, and I like the episode. It's just not great yet, but we still like the episode. Raymond Brada writes, Fennec being rebuilt as has bionic women vibes. We won't go into that because I don't want to give away, you know, too much for people who haven't seen the episode yet. John Redcorn writes, 2 Fantastic Four films, ride-along films, Shaft 2019 and Tom and Jerry. Would you call Tim Story a good director? His only film I like was Think Like a Man. I did like Think Like a Man. I totally forgot he did that. It's got DeMoney in it. Yeah, I like that movie. Anyway, look, it's not really for me to say who is a good thing and who is not. Oh my God, Ray Ora just walked into the room.
Now we're all going to die.
Oh, I'm fine, man. I'm totally fine. I just did that first test really wrong.
So, but what made you? What made you?
You know, it doesn't go up your butt, right? It's up your nose.
What made you decide to take a test in the first place? Were you feeling?
I had a little cold, which I'm getting over, and then it was just like because you know self-conscious about everyone around me.
Well, we appreciate that. That's very courteous of you. Thank you.
But the first time I did it, you know how you're supposed to stick it like.
Speak to the mic.
You know how you're supposed to stick it like 3/4 in your nose or whatever?
Yeah.
Like up there. Like I did it like so low, and it's supposed to be 15 seconds, but I just did it for 5 seconds because I was in a rush. And then I squeezed the bottle, and the drops like were supposed to go into this little hole, but I missed it like the first 2 times.
Ray always missing the holes.
So the second time,
At least that wasn't what she said.
The second time, my roommate actually
At least you
made
got
sure,
a second time.
made sure, yeah, I did it correctly, and then it actually came out completely negative. Like the first one was just like really messed up. I feel fine too. I told him like I was like I feel fine. Nothing's wrong. Like I don't feel heavy breathing. I feel
Well,
normal.
no, it was weird because when I got the thing from you saying when I realized you said that, I'm like, well, you've been around me and Ann every day,
No.
and we just tested yesterday, and we tested negative, and you've been
Yeah,
around us every
so
day. So I thought, wow, that's weird.
I just did it wrong. I mean, I was like, I'll take a third test later just to be sure.
Oh, great. Now that you've got here.
But, no,
You
but
let us know later.
I
You
would
let
not
us know
have,
later.
knowing that you have a baby at home, especially.
Well, thank you.
I wouldn't come in if I wasn't 100% sure that I'm fine. Like, I don't feel anything.
Yeah, no, I mean the fact that Ann and I, you've been around us every day, and the fact that we tested negative, and then you just said, but still, I didn't even. The thing is, I only got the last message you sent pre-show because we were scrambling around trying to get ready, and I just looked at my watch and said, "Oh, not coming in." I'm like, "Okay, so he's not feeling well or something." I didn't realize you had done that.
I was so upset this morning because I was ready to go. I was ready to do
But
these
let's
questions.
be clear. You took a second test and it came out negative.
Negative.
Okay.
And you did it correctly.
You did
I did it
correct.
correctly. To the point where it hurt, and you had to do it for 15 seconds. I was pressing against my nose. I was like almost in tears, and I did it the other way. And
Well, since you're prepared, the movie that will win Best Picture this year is.
that's the only one I had a problem with because
No, we know what you're gonna say.
I haven't seen enough movies to.
I know,
Yeah,
but
must have.
you know what it's going to be.
But out of
It's
all
gonna
of
be
them,
Moonfall.
no, it has to be No Way Home.
No, there
I
you go.
guess.
No way in hell
If
does
it
that
has
win
to
Best
be
Picture.
what I've seen so far, the best movie that I've seen, if I can answer it that way, is No Way Home.
Is that the best movie or your favorite movie?
Oh no, we're not going to get into that.
Okay,
discussion.
Andrew Garfield returning to play Spider-Man again in The Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be
A mistake.
Ah,
the chances of it.
I think it would be a mistake, right? What did you guys answer? That's what I was curious.
I said
Spectacular.
unlikely. I said unlikely.
A surprise to no one.
And then, but the big one that everybody wants to know what you would say was the Moonfall one.
Well, hold on. The chances of a Matrix 5 are
Slim.
okay, and Moonfall will go down in Hollywood history as
Sleeper hit.
Sleeper hit.
All
There we
right.
go.
Okay.
Rayor's got. All right, we got to get back over to the
Yep.
live
Oh, I'm
questions
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
No
good.
problem.
Get
We're
ready
glad you're
here.
here. We're glad you're here.
I was so
What an
boring.
entrance.
I'm so excited for this
What
show
a-
too, because Rob is back. Come on, man. I was like,
the gang's all
COVID trying to
here.
get at me like I wish women would.
COVID trying to get at me like I wish women would.
Wow. That's it. We should just end the show on that
I
note.
mean, I don't think it's gonna get any better. That's the show right
All
there.
right.
Wow.
Let's
Oh,
keep
my life.
rolling here. We got a lot of questions. To
And
get
I'm at my hour and 30, so I got to go to the bathroom.
Okay, so there, Aaron's running to the bathroom as we keep on rolling here. We've got to answer the question.
What was the
it's not
question?
to me to say who's a good actor, who's a good director, and who's not. I will say, if I had to be pressed on, I'd say no. I'm not a fan of Tim Story's directing at this point. But again, I liked Think Like a Man.
I don't think he's ever really been given a shot to make something great. He seems like he's a studio journeyman director. They give him things. I'd love to see something, or maybe he did work. I don't know if he wrote Think Like a Man, but maybe I'd love to see a passion project of his.
Right. All right. Let's keep going here. Next up, Suthius writes, Mr. Burnett, you might appreciate this. Showed my 3-year-old a clip of Sanda versus Gyra and is now fully invested in War of the Gargantuous, one of my favorite kaiju films. Are you familiar with what
War of the
he's talking about?
If you've got a kid, that's the movie to start him with. It's awesome. War of the Gargantuas, yes. And then he's going to, of course, want them both. So you're going to have to buy them, and they're expensive.
All right, next up. We've got Jack Master Nord who writes, saw The King's Man last night and it was a dud. You know, I heard from a lot of people that it was terrible, but then I heard from some people that actually thought it was pretty good. So I don't know, but a lot of people have a lot of opinions on that one, Jack Master. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Sam Sproul writes, hey guys, finally now I'm into Book of Boba Fett. Personally feel episodes 1, 2, and 3 could have been 1 or 2 episodes, cutting some unnecessary things. Well, going back to that, I mean, I think a lot of us have been feeling like the amount of flashback they did to Tusken Raider stuff, I thought was way more than necessary.
Yeah.
Like way more. I was not interested in it at all. To the point that every time a shot would open and you'd see Boba Fett in the back to tank, I'm like, here comes the flashbacks. And granted, that moment when he finds the village killed, that was moving, but not enough for what they were doing there. All right, next up. We've got Stiff Meister writes, Peacemaker coming after Boba Fett is a blessing. It kind of is. Knowing that I get to watch in 11 hours, 11 hours and 27 minutes. In 11 hours and 27 minutes.
When is that? Thursdays?
It's
Thursday night?
Wednesday night at midnight. Wednesday night at midnight for us, 3 a.m.
There's only
Thursdays for a lot of
5
other people.
episodes, right?
8 episodes.
Of Peacemaker?
Peacemaker's going to be 8 episodes.
okay.
This is the 4th episode tonight.
Oh, good.
Very, very excited for that. As a matter of fact, I might do an open spoiler discussion of Peacemaker tomorrow. If tonight's episode is as good as episodes 1, 2, and 3, I think we're going to do an open spoiler discussion of Peacemaker.
But you have to do it in tidy whities.
Yes, I will. Totally.
Everyone will come.
We're all just in tidy whities. Talking about Peacemaker. Okay. Let's see. Murtaranta writes, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Did you notice all the sci-fi Easter eggs in the Expanse finale? The strike teams had W. Riker, Ripley, Hicks, Vasquez, Hudson, Deckard, S. Connor. I didn't notice that.
Oh, it did. It
How
also
did
had,
I not? Especially with W. Riker. How did you notice it?
Oh,
Rob?
it also had people like the Last Starfighter. There was really some deep cuts in there. Pretty great.
I didn't love the finale. I mean, I love the show. Love the show. I felt like, but when you told me that the next episode is the final episode, I'm like, really? Like when Drummer and the UN president shake hands.
That was real. I love that.
I felt that was like the start of the final 3 episodes. You know what I mean? It kind of just, that final episode just kind of whiz-banged by. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
and
saying?
then of course, the setup, you're waiting for the whole Laconia thing to drop, but they set it up, but are they going to go anywhere with it? Because there's 3 more books.
Yeah, and they never really did. So it's just like they spent all season just kind of setting up what could be another series. And I thought that was a mistake. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, great show, though. I love The Expanse. It was fantastic. Let's see. Jack Master Nordwright. I loved episode 4 of the Book of Boba Fett, except Boba with no spurs. Yeah, that was a little bit of a break in continuity there. And again, I didn't love the episode, but I thought it was a decent one. I thought it was a decent episode. Scotty H writes, "Hey, John and crew, I was hoping I can hear what are Aaron's thoughts on Arcane Season 2, Bring It On." I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to guess that Aaron hasn't seen Arcane Season 1 yet. So
I don't know what Arcane anything is.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
It was this thing that doesn't look like much, and it ended up being my #1 all-time favorite animated series ever.
Really?
It's
more than
Harley Quinn.
Wow.
More than the original Transformers.
Where do I watch this?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And started watching it. Like it's based on a video game.
Wow, 2 things that I'm like totally into.
It's based on Overwatch, right? Is it Overwatch or is it League of Legends?
It's League of Legends.
It is League of Legends. So it's based on League of Legends, but has nothing to do with the game.
Okay.
And it starts this thing, and I was hooked within 5 minutes. It's Game of Thrones meets, I don't know what else to compare it to, but it is brilliant. My #1 favorite animated show ever.
Well, you know what? You told me
I think
about...
you and Tom would love it.
You told me about The Adventures of Harley Quinn, and I loved it. Loved it so much as an animated series, as a series in general. And so I will watch Arcane, and I will let you guys know. Thanks so much for asking.
All right, let's keep moving on here. Next up, we've got Mike A, who writes, R.I.P. Gaspard Ulliel. Again, if I'm mispronouncing his name, I apologize. He was only 37 years old. He's starring in Moon Knight as the Midnight Man. Again, we talked about that off the top a little bit earlier. And I mean, whenever anybody passes, is a tragedy. But a guy that young, it looks like the biggest thing of his career, about such
right
a
on
tragedy.
The precipice.
Yeah, I mean, so our thoughts and well wishes to anybody who knew him and his family. All right, let's see. Next up here, we've got Del One says, so far, Boba Fett to me has been kind of lame, but the intro to that theme song goes hard as hell. It hooks me in as soon as it starts. That theme song has no business going that hard for no reason. And you know what? Here's the funny thing, Del One. Compared to the Mandalorian theme, bum 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 bum. Like I just feel the blood rush when I hear it, right? I don't think the Book of Boba Fett theme's all that great, but somebody in this room who does.
I love it.
I love that end theme of the end credits. I love that theme.
Yeah, you do too,
I
right?
do.
There's
I
something
do.
so like it's almost like it's just like a slow,
It's different
like,
than the man, but
Yeah.
it's
I can't describe it, but I love that theme. Like
Yeah, Ray loves that music.
I don't have it in my head yet because I wanted to do the hymn right now, and it still doesn't pop up in my head yet.
just
so-
sing Ave Maria.
Oh,
Maybe it's time.
I don't know why we don't do a musical number around here. You know, somebody was suggesting the 4 of us should reenact the opening dance number to Peacemaker one of these times. But maybe we should also do like a hymn of some sort. We should do
The
we should go
musical
Christmas caroling.
episode. Yeah.
The musical episode of the
Musical
John Campea
episode.
Show.
Where do we go from here?
Next up, we got Sam Fisher, who writes, Gaspard, again, was playing Midnight Man, a character I don't know. Rob, can you explain? And Rob already did go into that a little bit. And again, with the great image that I'm glad you brought up that the cover of that one image. Purple Haze writes, John, what do Wanda and Daredevil have in common?
It sounds like a setup for a joke.
It's just, yeah, it sounds up for like, but he didn't write in the follow-up right away. Raymond Verada writes, Tamura has made I Am Boba Fett the scariest line. No, seriously, which, whenever I hear him say, I am Boba Fett, it's like, you know you're supposed to tremble at that. Like when he says that to Fennec, it's like, ooh. But then there's a scene in the movie where he says it to a little teddy bear robot. I'm like,
I hated that.
That was lame. That was really, really lame. Let's see here. Next. There's the follow-up for Purple Haze. What do WandaVision and Daredevil have in common? No vision. All right, Purple Haze.
Too soon.
All right. I will.
Not bad.
That one's not bad. I'm gonna give Purple Haze the drum shot for that.
There's a little intelligence in there.
Yeah, no vision. I like that. Okay. Tim Platt writes, well, it took 4 episodes, but I'm finally starting to get intrigued by Book of Boba Fett. Loved the tease at the end. Look, again, the tease at the end was pretty good. The episode did not start well. I think we agree, but it kind of got there. Ray, we didn't ask you yet. Generally, what was your feeling about that episode of Book of Boba Fett?
Oh, man. BK did a good little scene there.
Black Chrysanthemum?
Are we in spoilers or no, right?
You can speak
I
generalities.
like
nothing
BK's
specific.
scene in
Right.
there. It gives us a taste of what's to come.
I like the scene too.
And I said it would be the last one, but now it's got to be the next one.
I think maybe we got to give it another one.
They're gonna keep pulling us until the last episode, which is what they want.
You're right. I think it did it. I think this episode was good enough to earn one more. I think it was good enough to earn one more. So we'll have to probably do it again, and hopefully it just keeps ramping up. All right. Let's see. Where are we at here? We are at Michael Johnston, who writes, hey, John and crew, fun fact. That Leo Star Wars story actually came from a satirical Twitter page. It's hilarious nonetheless. Yeah, I'd heard some people saying it wasn't actually real. And I'm like, to hell with it. I'm going to believe it's real.
Yeah, let's make it real.
I'm going to believe it's real because that's the greatest Leo DiCaprio. I never loved Leo DiCaprio more than I did in that. Mickey Bell writes, what a time to be a Star Trek fan. If you enjoy the new stuff, I have never imagined 5 new shows airing in the same year. Excited for more Picard. I tried to get into that Lower Decks thing. I just could not get into it. The other animated thing sounds like it has promise. I'm very excited for the one with the Enterprise crew because I really loved their stuff. I mean, that was the dude who played Black Bolt.
Yes, it
Inhumans.
was. He also does a voice in Dota Dragon's Blood.
He does?
Yep. He plays Caden.
Tell us something. What is this Dota's Dragon's Blood you speak of?
Well, Dota Dragon's Blood is based on Dota 2, the video game by Valve, and it is a fantasy series not unlike Arcane, but it's 2D animation, and I was the animatic editor on it.
I was going to say, if I watched the credits to this, would there be any names I
wow.
recognize on the
There
credits?
would be, and the season 2 dropped on Netflix yesterday.
There you go.
Congratulations, Rob. That's awesome.
that is
know. Yeah, what can I say?
Okay, let's see. Where are we at here? We're at Sam Fisher, who writes, one of 2. I understand that you have that. Let me try this again. I understand you have Lord of the Rings in the title. So
You have to have Lord of the
Oh,
Rings
you
in it.
have to have Lord of the Rings in the title so people know it's connected. But Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, isn't a great title. It's not part of the Lord of the Rings story. Should have named it something like Middle Earth, The Second Age, or name makes more sense, or Lord of the Rings, Rise of Sauron. I completely disagree.
I do too.
disagree. I like that name.
I think the
Because
name's
that's
great.
exactly what it's about. The rings
Yes.
of power and the different factions that are given those rings, and then Sauron, who wasn't Sauron at the time, the rise to power to get control of all the, that's what the whole show's about.
And it's always tricky to try to say what a title should be when we haven't seen it.
Right.
Right. I mean, for all we know, this, like, for instance, what was something I just watched that I liked, but at the end of the day, the title made no sense. I can't remember what it was now. At any rate,
The problem is, if you were to call it the rise of Sauron, Sauron isn't Sauron in the Second Age.
right.
He's different. I won't say what that is, but
And he has to then be the focal point of the show, which he may not be.
right. And I think, though, that these, it has to be called Lord of the Rings, but if you were to call it about a character, what does that have to do? This is exactly what the show's about. The rings of power that are given. And that's why that teaser is so good, because it reminds you, like, oh, yeah,
And
there
for
are all these other rings that are given to these different factions. So we'll know about the Dwarf Lords. We'll know about the realms of man. We'll know about the Elven kings or whatever.
And for people who are familiar with the character of Sauron, that's great. But for people who are not, they'll be like, the what of what?
The what of what? The who's of what's it?
Oh, the power of the rings. Okay, that makes sense to me. It's they have to make it palatable for a wider audience, not just the people who are already invested and are already going to watch it.
Yeah, I agree. So I like the title a lot. I think it's
I
pretty
do
good.
too.
I do too.
Amy Berg writes, Gaspard Ulliel was a really good actor. So sad. Yeah, again, I feel I wasn't familiar with a lot of his work, but clearly he already had a lot of accolades. John Redcorn writes, to hell with Boba Fett, Peacemaker game day, baby. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, if you had told me a year ago that there would be a Boba Fett series running and a John Cena-led Peacemaker series running on HBO, and that I was infinitely going to be way more into the Peacemaker series, I would have called you crazy. But crazy it is.
You know what's also speaking of crazy, so I'm on my way home yesterday from the show. I was on my way home and I was going around Forest Lawn and up towards the 101 from Warner Brothers. And I saw a billboard for the reality show Wipeout, which John Cena is the host of. And I'm sitting there at the light and I'm like looking at it going, okay,
And the
how
girl
does
from
that
Community,
work?
I think.
In who, like, what kind of like that soul-selling deal did John Cena make where he gets to star as Peacemaker? You don't get to star on your own HBO show as the title character and be the Mario Lopez of, like, no offense to Mario Lopez, but basically hosting a show where people from Middle America go and like do water slides and fall in a lake. Like, you don't, like, that's how do you get to do both things? Because you're John fucking Cena.
That's right.
You're John
Because you're John fucking Cena. You can do whatever you want.
Once you've sung into a massager on national television,
You can do
You know what I think? This is just the tip of the iceberg of Cena. We're going to see him blow up. That's why he's probably doing Wipeout and stuff, just, to get his... Because he still hasn't really blown up. But after this Peacemaker
Really?
thing...
You think?
I agree. I don't really think he's blown up yet.
Like,
either,
I meant
really.
rock status, where everyone just wants to put him in an action movie.
But
Yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah.
He was in Fast 9. He was in
Yeah, but he
Suicide
wasn't
Squad.
very good in
No,
Fast
he wasn't
9.
very good in Fast 9.
When they start
But he
writing
still was there.
like things just for him, I think we're almost there. After this Peacemaker thing, they'll know exactly what they get from him, and he's going to give it to us. And
Well,
all these
My
we'll see.
favorite thing of his still is Trainwreck.
It's the best.
Like
Oh,
the
yeah, he
outtakes
was-
of Trainwreck,
yeah.
and especially when he's speaking Mandarin. I mean, the guy's fluent in Mandarin.
Yeah. Yep.
It just, yeah. If you
All
have
right.
not seen the outtakes of Trainwreck with John Cena, do yourself a favor.
He was great in that movie.
All right, next up, we got Ryan Lohner, who writes, one of the eeriest times of my life was when Natasha Richardson died. I literally, 1 week after my whole family and I were skiing on that very same hill, R.I.P. Gaspard. What, did Natasha Richardson die in a...
Yeah, in
Yeah,
a ski.
ski
Her and
accident.
Sonny Bono.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been like 14 years, I think, 13 years.
Yeah, she was.
I didn't realize
she was skiing and had what at the time seemed like a minor fall, but it was just one of the a freak thing that fell the wrong way, and yeah, tragedy.
All right. Let's see. Let's move on here. Next up, we've got Jose Andres Estrada Vaca writes, hey, John, do you think we'll ever see a new Shrek film, not a spinoff, a direct sequel? You know what? In an age of the revival, I mean, Frasier's come back.
What?
They did, yeah. The Frasier's come back. They're doing a revival of Frasier. Yeah. In a world where we had Will and Grace came back.
I mean, and just like that, you never know what's going to show up.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
And just
There
like
you go.
that,
You just did that.
Sex and
You
the City
did that.
just did a revival. We've been hearing about other things too. I just read something else yesterday about a big revival that's coming. I completely forgot what it was. But King of the Hill is getting revived. They're bringing back King of the Hill, which I never
Beavis
really
and
watched.
Butthead.
Beavis and
No.
Butthead. Yep. Beavis and Butthead's
How
getting
old are
revived.
those guys now?
So, I mean, honestly, when you're talking about something that ended its run still making big money, I would not be surprised at all if they did another Shrek. Because, I mean, the one
Yeah.
hard part they would have is getting, why am I freezing on her name?
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz, thank you. The one problem they would have would be getting Cameron Diaz back because
Why do you say that?
She's pretty adamant that she's done, like she's retired. So I mean, she's at least everything that I've read, she seems pretty adamant about that.
But
Okay.
you can just sit at home.
Well,
Yeah,
but, okay.
recording over Zoom.
I will say this though. First of all, when it comes to Shrek, because it is animated, she can do all of the work from home. They literally could send an entire voiceover studio to her house,
Yep.
and she could, in her pajamas, do all of her work from home, FaceTiming or Skyping with the director. She would never have to leave her house. And she's also a mom of twins now. So she may be looking at it going, you know what? In the same way that we were talking yesterday, that sometimes actors start making decisions based on what would my kids want to see me in. Yeah, she probably doesn't want to go on location for 4 months.
Right.
You know, she's very much enjoying her millions upon millions of dollars, being a wife, being a mother, living her best life, and not having to worry about being in the public eye. But I can absolutely see her working from home and doing a voiceover and making $20 million.
Yeah, she gets handed a big fat check
$20 million to do a voiceover
that she
from
splits
your...
into $10 million
Well, I will
fund for her
tell you right
kids.
now, nobody's getting $20 million for voiceover work today. I mean, like the economics of scale have come down. Like you're getting very, very few actors.
Okay,
now getting
fine.
20, but
Back end points, though.
and
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
$1 million
Back-end
for
points.
3 days of work. You just record these lines at home. 3 days of work. I'll back up a truck. $2 million. Here you go. I'll give you $3 million in Bitcoin or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
And
I
you know
do
what?
it.
Also, because I know that people are probably like maybe grumbling, like, oh my gosh, they're reviving all these shows. Where's the original ideas? I will say this. Yes, we're having a lot of revivals, but a big part of the reason, big reason for that is because there's so many platforms. So while there are a lot of revivals, there are equally a number of new shows. Somebody Somewhere, a new show by Bridget Everett, just got released on HBO. Watch it, please. It's on Sunday nights. She's a phenomenally talented woman. I actually auditioned for that show and I didn't get it. And I watched the girl who did, and I go, they made the right choice.
All right, let's go.
Wow,
Next,
good.
next up.
I like hearing that you think that. It's good.
Let's see. Andy writes, Nev Campbell still looks beautiful in Scream 5. Yeah, because she's in her 50s now.
She does.
And she looked great.
Is she that old?
I believe so. Also, let's do it up. Hey, Google,
I'm going to die soon.
how old is Nev Campbell? Okay, sorry, she's 48. It says she's 48. But she looks great. I mean, it was funny because I recognize she popped up in that Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie. Skyscraper. She popped up in that. I was like, oh, I hadn't seen her in a while. So it was good to see her in that. All right, next up. We see Andy writes, you don't skip the Peacemaker intro. I constantly replay the Peacemaker intro. We are not the same. Giancarlo Esposito. Listen, I'll tell you what. I'm not kidding. I put it up on my Twitter, the opening credits to Peacemaker. I probably went back to my own Twitter page at least 6 or 7 times yesterday just to play that. I am so into that. I love that intro so much. It is. I've never felt that way about an intro.
Did you watch Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac comment on the Moon Knight trailer?
On the what? No. I heard there was like a video of a live reaction of them.
Marvel released a video of the live reaction of that.
How was it?
It's great.
Okay, I gotta watch it.
You gotta
I saw
watch
that this morning. Too.
It's great.
I gotta watch that. Okay, next up. Let's see. Where did we go? There it is. Okay, so Simon Blakemore writes, "Hey, John and Co, are you going to do a ticket watch for the Batman?" You know what? I wasn't thinking we would. You know, I still don't know that we should. Honestly, because it's not... Look, Batman, it is my most anticipated film of the year. I do not believe it is going to have the massive ticket rush that Spider-Man did. Spider-Man is a part of the MCU. It's the third film in the trilogy. It's like, it was this fifth appearance of that. There was the promise of these other Batmen coming back. I just don't think it's going to have the same thing.
There's too many Twilight, boy. I'm not.
I think I should do a review watch. That would make more sense.
Like a reaction. Yeah, I agree with that.
Watch,
yeah.
Just because, like, I'm interested in hearing what people think.
So we did, for those of you who don't know, we did a reaction watch because we knew exactly when the reaction embargo was lifting. And so we did a live stream starting 5 or 10 minutes before the reaction embargo left. And as soon as we started covering the reactions coming out, that I think we can do for the Batman. I don't think we can do it for the ticket watch though on that. All right. Andy writes, I like how Peacemaker adds to and continues HBO's reputation of consistency and high quality content. People still giggle at me when I say this, but look, as great as Netflix's original series are, not so good with their movies, but with their series, the gold standard bearer is still HBO. I mean, that's just it. It's HBO. If you take the top 30 shows that they've put out, from 1 to 30, it's like all of them could be in the top 3.
Yeah.
All of them could be in the top 3. Netflix has got some wonderful original series.
Except Arliss.
Oh man, no one's mentioned Arliss in
Ouch.
forever.
Sorry.
But you can't say the same about that, right? Like you got The Crown. Well, they got a lot. You got Arcane. You got House of Cards. You got like all that kind of stuff. But once you get past the
Stranger
top,
Things.
Stranger Things. But once you get past the top 10 or 15,
Queen's Gambit.
they're no longer in the discussion for maybe in the top 3. Whereas you go the top 30 of HBO, all of them are in the discussion for the top.
Yeah, I mean, you
know what
think about things like The Wire, The Sopranos. I mean,
yeah, some of the greatest
they
of
were
all
groundbreaking.
time.
Even Sex and the City was a groundbreaking show. I'll go all the way back to Dream On.
And what's the one
Howard's
about?
Head.
What's the one right now with the hitman who's taking acting lessons?
Oh, Barry.
Barry is brilliant.
White Lotus.
White. Everybody freaks out about. I mean,
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street. Is that HBO now?
Was it? Didn't they?
Didn't that
I don't
go
know.
to HBO?
Sesame Street is PBS.
Yeah, but they did release a. Was it Sesame Street?
I think you're right.
Fraggle Rock.
No, I think you're right about
Fraggle Rock
Sesame
is-
Street.
They did.
I think you're right about that. But and then of course right now, like I think the best thing on television right now is Yellowstone. But most people in the world think the best thing on television right now is Succession,
Oh, Succession.
which like
Brilliant.
Anne is
Brilliant.
completely
Oh my God, it's so good.
obsessed with that show
Same.
right
It's
now.
great.
Anyway, so yeah, she's
Mayor
going-
of Easttown.
Oh, Mayor of Easttown.
One of the best things I've seen. I love that.
Which won a bunch of awards. By the way, as a Paramount network, Mayor of Kingstown.
I'm dying to see it. I've heard that's really good.
Why did they name it that? It's so confusing. I'm not trying to be a ding dong, but come on, Mayor of Eastham, Mayor of Eastham.
But I mean, but it's. In his defense, I think what's his name? The guy who's developed the show,
Tyler Sheridan.
Tyler Sheridan. I think Tyler Sheridan had that in development like many years ago, like even
Wait,
before.
Tyler Sheridan's doing that as
Oh
well?
yeah. He's a real busy boy right now. Yeah. it's
Here's
so
what I
good.
love. I just heard that when he was on Sons of Anarchy and he was like number 17 or whatever on
He was
the call
sheriff's
sheet.
deputy on that.
Yeah. And he went to renegotiate his deal and wanted more money, as you do when you renegotiate your deal. That's what renegotiation is all about. But they said, sorry, like this is what we think that you're worth. And and we don't, you're never going to get more than that. And you are a number 17 on the call sheet kind of person. And he was like, okay. And then just said, well, fuck you. I'm going to go write my own shit. Went and wrote Yellowstone. And then now he's doing like 1819 or whatever that show is.
Hell or High
1888,
Water,
1889.
1883.
He
Thank
did
you.
the show with Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch. What's it called? Wind River.
Oh, Wind River was like the most underrated movie of that year.
Talk about being told that you're one thing and then just deciding, yeah, I'm going to
One
go
was
ahead and
as an
write my
actor.
own script.
Yeah, one was as an actor. Maybe look, I'll say it. I'm like Sons of Anarchy is like my number 2, number 3 favorite show of all time. He wasn't all that memorable in the show. Like he's clearly found his real path as a show creator and all that kind of stuff. Like he's killing it right now. Anyway,
Making lots of money.
we still got a lot of ways to go here, so let's keep going here. Where did it go? We are at Andy, who writes, crazy how we're getting the Batman near the start of March and nearly ending the month with Moon Knight. It's a month for dark, mature superheroes. We'll find out how dark and mature it is before when we go into it. I mean, we'll find out soon, but it's a good time right now. It's a good time. Harv's K writes, could Chapek be right? Encanto blowing up from streaming in a way it didn't do in the theaters. Bruno is number 4 and soundtrack was number 1 that week, but that had nothing to do. The song, we don't talk about Bruno. That has nothing to do with it. So no, under no circumstances in any way, shape, or form was Bob Chapek right. Like not even remotely. All right, next up, Milo Murphy writes, over under 12%, the Doctor Strange 2 has a post-credit scene hinting at the Young Avengers, maybe with the introduction of Iron Lad. I'll go under 12% because I don't even think they're going to do Young Avengers. And I'll be honest with you, I think doing Young Avengers is cool in the comic books, like more than cool in the comic books. I think it would be utterly fucking ridiculous in live action. I really do. And I don't think they're going to do it. But Rob, you do believe they're going to do it.
I think they're going to do it as a series.
Not
Not as a
do it
movie.
as a series?
Not as a movie.
Not as a film.
Yeah, I think they're going to do it as a series because as a movie, they're going to still make Avengers films, and a Young Avengers series, or a Young Avengers movie doesn't make sense to me, but it makes sense as a series.
What do you think about the under 12% that they do a post-credit scene hinting at it?
I think under.
Yeah.
Because I think if anything, they're going to allude to the if they're really going to do Avengers,
They got America Chavez in there.
Yeah, and if they do Avengers Secret Wars, which is what I think would be the next Avengers movie, it would be something more along those lines.
All right, let's keep going here. Next up, Jose Andres Estrada Vaca writes, "Hey John, who do you prefer, Pixar or DreamWorks?" It's obviously Pixar. Pixar, I still think there's a discussion to be had that they're not just the best animation studio; they might be the best studio. Period. And stop. Live action or otherwise. Like I just think they're that good.
Who actually did Megamind? Do you remember that movie?
That was DreamWorks, I believe.
That's actually one of my favorite animated movies.
With Will Ferrell?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I don't know why.
I remember I got to get together. The first time I had a chance to get together with Will Ferrell was at Comic-Con, and I got a private one-on-one with him to talk about Megamind. And it was like, I didn't love the movie myself personally.
Oh, you didn't?
But I know some people that really like it a lot.
Tina Fey was in it.
Did she do one of the voices too?
She was like the girl, the main.
I didn't realize that was Tina Fey.
They gave her the biggest hips too. Like, no, that's all I remember from her. I was like,
wow, no woman ever wants
hip.
to hear that, Ray. That's all I remember.
Even in
was her big hips.
animation, they give her the
It was
biggest
obnoxious.
All right, let's keep going here. John Redcord writes, early box office predictions for Uncharted, in my opinion, 55 million. Got to get closer. 55. Listen, I'm very excited about Uncharted, but 55 might be high. It might be high. I mean, I hope it does super well. I'm going to go a little bit under 55. Any of you guys want to take a crack at it?
I'll go higher.
You're going to go higher?
I think it's going to go higher only
so.
because that's such a beloved video game franchise and Tom Holland coming off of Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's working in its favor. I hope it's over 55. It would be great.
I'm going to go over.
All right. Let's see. BMG writes, what would Boba do without Fennec? That's not the Boba I grew up with. But then again, here's the thing. None of us know the Boba we grew up with. That's the point. None of us know him.
I do like he kind of addresses that in this new episode. He kind of explains where he's at. I like that.
All right. Let's go on. The next one up, we've got Adam Muhammad writes, Midnight Express 1978. What a masterpiece. Have you seen it, big man? I can't.
Alan Parker directed that.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of something totally different.
It's based on a true story about a kid that was put in a Turkish prison for selling drugs. It's a great film.
I feel like there have been 8 other movies based on that kind of premise since then.
Giorgio Moroder did an incredible score for it, too.
All right, good one. The nice deep cut there, Adam Muhammad. Well brought up. All right, next up, Adrian Bonds writes, hey, crew, I'm not familiar with Moon Knight, but I'm stoked about the show. Found out Bill Sienkiewicz did the art for Kid Cudi's first album, Man on the Moon. Is that true?
That could very well be true.
That's a neat crossing of the streams.
Who's Bill
Sienkiewicz?
Bill Sienkiewicz is one of my favorite comic book artists ever, and he came to prominence drawing Moon Knight.
All right, next up, we got Milo Murray who writes, after Eternals, every MCU movie is a sequel until Fantastic Four, late 2023, maybe 2024. I'm not sure another studio has made 7 sequels in a row before. Well, yeah, but here's the thing. That sounds like a big thing. Not many franchises have 20 plus movies already lined up, like already in their bag.
27.
27
There's already 27.
are already in their bag. So it's when you understand that, then understanding that, the next 4 or 5 movies they have lined up to go are sequels. Well, that's not that big of a stretch. And they're introducing new characters now, it seems, in Disney Plus, with obviously Ms. Marvel, with Moon Knight, with She-Hulk. I think there's another one coming that I can't remember off the top of my head. At any rate, so yeah, that is kind of weird, but no other thing has had that big of a catalog of movies already out, so it's not going to be the last time we see that, Murray. Well brought up, though, Milo. Next up, Jack Wallace writes, so good to have you and your perspective back, Aaron. You too, Rob. Aiden says hi to Rob as well.
Well, that's very nice.
Thank you.
Aiden is a budding action figure photographer.
Oh. Ray, you were showing me some kind of docu-series on TV about a guy who was like that he literally did that for a career, was an action figure photographer.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
No. We were doing, On Disney Plus, they did a thing
That's
on
what it
Marvel
was.
Legends, but then a little part of it, they went over this guy that just does action figure photography. He does all these little effects. It looks really cool.
Young Aiden is doing some of that stuff. It's really impressive.
I want to know what the income on that.
I have photographs of his. I have prints he sent me.
And by the way, it is so. I mean, it's great with all of our different perspectives, but having Aaron on the show, being somebody in the industry as a performer in front of the camera, who's actually currently working in the industry, not only with King Richard, but also she's got Rookie coming, which is great. I mean, it's always great to have her here, and she's just one of the most fun people to be around. So,
Aw, thank you. Well, Jack and Megan Wallace actually sent Baby Degnan a baby gift. So, thank you so much. And so, yeah.
do you know I still get people writing to me about the videos we did in Vegas?
Oh, those were so fun.
Like, people love the videos we did in Vegas. That
well,
was
they
a
better
lot of
get
fun.
ready because come April we're doing it again.
We are. We're gonna take. I don't
Family
think we
road
told this
trip.
thing. We're gonna take the whole crew to Vegas.
I love
baby.
I love the Shang-Chi reaction from Aaron. That got me so hyped up for the
That was
for
great.
the thing. I was like, this has got to be good because you
And by
can
the
see it on
way,
your face.
that was edited because I was going so overboard about it that John had to cut it down because he was like, "This is a bit much."
Wow.
It
Hey, are
was
you
lot
a
of fun.
cop in The Rookie? Can you say that?
I am
can't
not,
say.
I am not a cop, but when I'll say this: we can talk about my role once it airs on February 27th, but it is in line with my casting. If you're familiar with the roles that I am commonly that I play a lot,
Prostitute number one.
Oh my God.
No,
say
but you're on the right
That was her first role. Her
You're
first
on
role
the
was-
right. Hey, you're not wrong.
By the way, that was on a Star Trek show. Let's be clear.
Yes,
it was.
prostitute number one on a Star Trek show, and then I played a prostitute, a sex worker on Masters of Sex, and then I played another sex worker on some other show. I can't remember. Yeah, so typecast much? Whatever. Hey, I'm getting paid, and I actually get to keep my clothes on.
I just want to see you wield a nightstick.
Wait, what are we talking about here?
No. Okay.
Being a cop.
I had a joke, but I didn't know how to word it.
You'll have to go like dark web for those videos.
Oh.
All right. Let's move on here.
Somebody's
Let's
already
keep this thing going.
doing that right now.
Zishan is writing, where do I start with Moon Knight comics?
Well, this is going to seem strange. I would start at the beginning. They just released, not just about 6 months ago, a hardcover Moon Knight omnibus. That's great. But that Moon Knight omnibus is the beginning of Moon Knight. It's got Werewolf by Night issues. I think it's got the Hulk backups. And it has the original first volume of Moon Knight, which is 38 issues, written by Doug Metch, drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz up to issue 30. And then Kevin Nolan took over to draw the rest.
All right, let's move on. Good question, man. Addison writes, the trailer for Moon Knight has made me want to read and learn about the character. Is there a favorite run of yours or Rob that you would recommend before the show drops on Disney Plus? So Rob, you did a great breakdown the other day, a kind of a crash course on Moon Knight. If somebody isn't just looking to get into the comics themselves, but what's the story I should read to prep myself to watch the show? What do you think it is?
See, it's really difficult because Moon Knight has had many different iterations over the years. It looks like this series is leaning into the dissociative identity disorder version of Moon Knight that has been the predominant Moon Knight over the last 20 years. I would go back to the Moon Knight that was introduced in 1975, and then the first volume of his own comic started in 1980. But that's not the version of the character that everyone knows. So I would go back and, focus on the last 20 years of Moon Knight. But that omnibus is awesome. Buy that omnibus. It's great.
I'm sorry, Rob, but I have to watch the first episode. You have to be around. You got to watch the first episode.
I'll do
together,
that.
or something at least.
We'll stay up until midnight.
Oh,
and watch it together.
yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay.
Come on, dude.
But maybe we should.
We can watch it via Skype.
I would love to have Rob.
Great, yes.
I
Speak
would
closer to the
love
mic.
to have Rob in the room just because I'm already confused by the trailers. This might bother you while we're watching.
No, but see, if
I
you
have a
talk
little-
during the episode,
Yeah, I know.
I'd have to lay you out.
I know. We'll watch it, and then I'll ask my questions after.
All right. We got to keep rolling here. Next up, Luis Enrique de la Pena writes, welcome back, era bromings.
I don't get it.
We'll fill you in. Sorry, I had to do it. Congrats on your baby. I don't know if you remember, I tweeted you a photo where it looked like you were surprised and it had Robert's name at the bottom.
Yes. Because it's a common thing, sometimes, John has a lot going on. It's very difficult. It's a challenge to do all the things that John does. He's editing as we speak. And so there are many times when I would be on the show and Robert had been on the show the day before. And so it would say Robert Meyer Burnett as my name.
Yeah, sometimes that we
And by the way, every time that happened, it was a great honor for me.
It was an honor for me as well. The honor was mine. The honor was mine.
All right, next up, we got Raymond Verrata who writes, when Lord of the Rings was being made, my FX friends left for Weta. Well, that was a huge thing. That's what put Weta on the map.
Yeah, people, they had a huge staff. Huge.
They did. Although they've been going through some drama the last couple of years.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, so we won't get into that right now, though. All right, next up, Sam Fisher writes, Eric Winter was also in that Viva Laughlin show?
We were talking about Lloyd. I was talking about Lloyd Owen, who was in the Viva Laughlin show that was canceled and then took his face down from the thing. Stephen DeKnight's first.
Oh, that's what Sam was talking about. All right, thanks for putting that in there, Sam. All right, next up, Ethan Holgate writes, hell no, 3 hours is not long enough. LOL. Just kidding. It's all subjective, but I personally love a long, great movie. So bring on the Batman. I mean, here's the thing. Like, whenever I get into this discussion with people, it's like, John, if a movie's great, don't you want it to be longer? It's like, but making it longer will make it less great. Because when a movie finds its sweet spot, like, because I have seen movies that are like an hour and 45 minutes and felt like it should have shaved off about 10 minutes just because for that movie.
Yeah.
I've seen hours that are 2.5 hours long that I'm like, they should have put in another 15 minutes to breathe it out a bit. It depends on the movie. But if you watch a great movie at 2 hours and 10 minutes, then that means it's found its sweet spot. It knew the right length to be. And if you made it any shorter or any longer, I think it would take away from it. What do you think?
Well, I agree. I mean, hopefully the filmmakers have time to work on the film and shape it and craft it into what it's supposed to be. Like, look, one of my favorite Warner Brothers movies is The Right Stuff, and it's 3 hours and 15 minutes, and I wouldn't cut a frame. But if this movie's great, if it has that epic Godfather type feel to it, where you really feel that the story is that engrossing, which I think they've had a lot of time to work on this movie.
Yes, they have.
That I'll bet I think this movie's going to be something special. I really
do too. All right, next up, we got Julian Mott who writes, John, just come back to the Bills Mafia, bro. We want you back. There's nothing keeping you a New England fan. Bucks can be 1, but Bills should be 2. We're Canada's team. I mean, the Bills are basically Canada's team and we used to go across the border to go watch some Bills games. For those you always talk about, the Buffalo Bills were my team for a long time when I was younger, until as a team, they blatantly betrayed the fans by benching Doug Flutie, who had been killing it all year at quarterback, killing it, got them into the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, the owner decided, well, we invested a lot in this young new quarterback. We're going to start him. And Doug Flutie got us here. He's killing it. And you're just gonna start this kid in the playoffs? And of course they got their asses beat. And at that, I just remember as a younger football fan, I was like, I felt so betrayed by the team that I was like, fuck you. And I was out. I checked out. And I had become a big fan of Coach Parcells. Because when Parcells coached his New York Giants to beating my Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl, I just remember thinking, man, all the hype about him is real. And I started following Parcells, and Parcells then went to coach at New England and became the New England Patriots coach. And that's when I became a New England Patriots fan. It was even before the Brady era started. And now Brady's on Tampa Bay, so I love Tampa Bay now. I love watching Brady, but New England's still my team. Heartbreaking watching them get their asses handed to them by Buffalo. But there's still a special place in my heart for Buffalo. So my number one team that I'm cheering for left in the playoffs is Tampa Bay. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl, but they are the number one team I'm cheering for. After that would be Buffalo. So if Tampa Bay gets knocked out, then Buffalo's the team I'm going to be cheering for going to the Super Bowl. All right, let's move on here. Next up, Suthius writes, Peloton is the only sponsored item I can't afford. Oh, but you can, Suthius.
Here we go.
You can, because you don't have to get the bike or the treadmill. I mean, if you can, get them, but you don't need them. The Peloton app, I am telling you, as I've been using it a bunch lately, it is incredible how much is on that app. And seriously, I encourage you download the app, check it out for yourself. If you're at all interested in, fitness at home and stuff like that, do check out that app. And I'm not just saying that because they're paying me to say it, although they are paying me to say it. But I would say it anyway. Seriously, the app is incredible. Go check it out. All right, next up, we got Drew L. Ray writes, hey, everyone. The Batman is my most anticipated movie this year. Most of my favorite movies are 3 hours, so bring it. Have a dope day, guys. And I'm telling you what, Drew, it is also my absolute most anticipated movie remaining of the year. I cannot wait. It's going to be... It might be awful, but I'm predicting it's going to be great. A. Marcellus writes in and tips in like $20. Thank you, A. Marcellus, for supporting us on that level, man. Rob, you'll be proud of me. I'm getting back into physical media. I pre-ordered steel books of Gran Turismo 7 and Horizon Forbidden West for the PS5 and a collector's edition of Knights of the Old Republic from Limited Run Games.
Wow. I mean, there you go. I mean, that's I like video games. I'm still looking at I have a shelf of my old video games, my PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 games, and I like those special editions.
Man, I have not only ditched physical media in movies, I've ditched physical media in games too.
Does your PlayStation 5 have a disc player in it?
You know what? I can't even remember. I think it does. I think Ryan got me the one that does have the disc player, but I don't get the disc.
Feeding you all the documentaries I made. And go, here, you got to watch this. Watch this. You got to watch this.
I don't know for sure that it has a disc player because I would never touch the disc player. But
yes, you
I'm gonna
will.
start feeding you all the student films that I did 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That I've got converted from VHS.
Nightstick 3 and Nightstick 4. The student film.
No, that's only the ones on the dark web, man.
That's the dark web one.
You gotta dig deep for those.
Oh, hey, I don't know if you know this.
Nightstick trilogy.
Rob appeared in an adult film. Did you know this?
What?
Yeah.
I want all the details.
Rob appeared.
And
I played Biggs Darklighter in Star Wars XXX.
I'm sorry, you did what? Biggs what? Biggs Dark Lighter.
Biggs Darklighter. Yep.
How dark is it?
And it's not big enough and not dark enough. But yes, and I flew an X-wing fighter over the Death Star in Star Wars XXX.
And how did you even get into this?
Well, there is a guy named Axel Braun who has made a lot of XXX parodies. They do a lot of Marvel stuff. And a friend of mine happened to be working on one of these movies, and he's like, dude, you got to come down here. We've built interiors of the Millennium Falcon. We've built X-wing fighter cockpits, and there's full Rebel flight suits. He's got you got to come check this out. Plus, Chewbacca's going to have a threesome with 2 stormtroopers. And I go, I'll come down. And then when I went down there, he goes, you should be in this movie. You're funny. So they gave me lines.
Stop it.
I'm not kidding.
Please tell me you remember your lines.
I said something about bullseyeing womp rats in my T16.
Oh my god.
But yes, I got to color my hair black. I got a 70s porn stash, and I wear a Rebel flight suit. And Kylie Ireland, the famous porn star, was Red Leader, and I was like, and I die. I'm in an X-wing. I fly an X-wing, and I crash. I get shot down over the Death Star.
Oh.
So Aaron right now is still trying to process this.
I mean, I need to see this.
Wait till you
film.
see the photograph I can show you.
I need to see this because I need the porn.
Unfortunately, I'm just not well hung enough to be a porn performer, so I have to be a Rebel pilot.
I was actually a driver for a performer, and we had many adventures together, including me. She was like, okay, today I need to go pick out butt beads. So we went to the pleasure chest, and I helped her pick out a starter set of butt beads. So that one of the many I don't want to wait. One of the many I don't want to wait tables anymore jobs before I was actually a working actor, as I was a driver for a porn star.
By the way, I do think Star Wars XXX is 3 hours long.
So there you go.
Well, I'm going to have to take a bathroom break halfway through. I won't tell you what for, but...
All right, we've got to keep moving here. By the way, it looks like I forgot a question.
Yeah, there you go.
From AFL 2024, who wrote, John, D23 tickets go on pre-sale today for Visa card holders and on sale to the general public tomorrow. Will you be going this year? I really like D23, so I just may go. I think I just may get tickets and go to this thing. So I haven't been keeping up on any of the conventions or anything very much, but this I'll keep my eye open for.
When
All
does that usually take place? What month does it actually...
It's not every year, so I don't even remember when it actually is supposed to take place, to be honest with you. Okay, let's move on here. The last one I think we had was Drew. No, the last one we had is A. Marcel. So the next one up is Mark Harlan, who writes, confirm, John, the Vespa speeder bikes are in the Lord of the Rings show. That would be like the last straw. That would be the last straw. Al Renshaw writes, does Chef Pleasures have any jokes about length? Oh, every day. Every day. Al Renshaw also says, has Ray seen Bully Maguire yet? Oh, that's such an overdone joke. Logan James Kynaston writes, Rob, on a recent companion video, you said films aren't subjective, people's opinions are. What exactly did you mean by that? I keep thinking about it.
Well, I mean, I think it's everyone's opinion about something changes to everyone's opinion is subjective. It is. I do believe that certain art forms, certain art is objectively great, but people's opinions of it are subjective.
And of course, to me, until you can empirically measure and prove something, like if you say something is objectively great, you are claiming that you can objectively prove that.
No, I'm not claiming.
But if something can't be proved as fact, then it is by definition subjective.
Well, no, I would go back and say when Galileo said that the sun was the center of the universe, the sun was the center of the solar system. The Earth was not the center. People said to him, "You're wrong." He just didn't know how to prove it yet. That doesn't mean it wasn't true. Okay,
so if we were in a court of law right now, you would say, the judge would say, we're going to find your client guilty because the evidence says he is. And then you would say to the judge, but judge, there could be evidence coming that says he's not guilty. Do you have that evidence? No. Well, then your client's guilty. You can't say it's fact based on something that you don't know will ever come to be.
Well, I think that there are things that we don't yet know about. Like, we don't understand consciousness. Now, our not understanding of consciousness doesn't mean it's not there. It just means we don't yet understand it.
Right. So you can't claim anything is factually true about something you don't understand.
Right. But just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it's not factually true.
So you're just making it up.
It's not factually true saying, until you can prove it.
Until we can prove it. Like, we don't know a lot of things about the universe because we haven't been there yet. But that doesn't mean they're not true.
Until it's true, it's not true.
But it's all, you mean until we understand the truth that's there.
But yes, but then you can say anything. You can say anything, but you can't call it true. And that's where it comes down to about this whole thing with me. Like, you seem to basically agree with me that you have to be able to factually prove something to call it objective truth. Your argument, though, that differs from mine is that eventually you think we will be able to prove that.
Yeah. Like,
and I think there's nothing that does.
I would say this. I can't factually prove that my dog understands things that I say. But I know it's true because I've witnessed it and seen it. I just can't quantify it and say a court of law.
But what you're talking about, that's faith.
That's faith versus fact.
That's faith versus fact.
But see, here's the thing. It's like science, okay? Science presupposes they have a supposition, a hypothesis that they have to prove. And you can prove it or disprove it. But there's a lot of things where, like gravity, things like that, it's a hypothesis. And we have many ways that we can prove it over and over again. But there's things about that we can't yet prove. And I would say this. I would say, for instance, art. The way art is affecting of us. Like, I'll give you an example. A rock riff, a guitar riff. Like the beginning of the Rolling Stones' Satisfaction. I believe that certain sounds and music, like a guitar riff, actually physiologically affects us, which is why some guitar riffs, whether it's the beginning of Stairway to Heaven. Now, I can't prove this.
But there are ways to prove it.
Yeah, like sound theory.
You've got, right, but we can't necessarily, I can't sit there and go, the Rolling Stones opening of Satisfaction has a physiological effect. I mean, sound theory is true, but I could say that's one of the greatest guitar riffs ever.
Okay.
But until it's measurable, we don't have ways.
But that is measurable because that's actually used
there are
in
ways you can measure that today.
Well, I believe that that's also true of art. It's just we haven't
tried. But there are no
it.
ways of doing it.
Not yet.
Okay, so that's where it comes down to this, is that you are making a statement of faith that sometime in the future, something will happen that we cannot prove will or will not happen. And so as long as that's the case, it remains if you cannot prove something is true, like if somebody says a joke and it makes you laugh and it doesn't make me laugh, well, one cannot say I can prove by fact that joke was funny. It's like, you can't. It depends on the individual hearing the joke and how it elicits a response. But listen, we've got to move on. We've gone on way too long on this, and we're running out of time. All right, next up. We got Sebastian Gonzalez. We still have a few questions to go. Sebastian Gonzalez writes, like it overall, but my biggest issue with Book of Boba Fett is its slow pace. Only now, at the end of episode 4, does the plot seem to start. Hope it gets better. Rob, I remember you and I were talking about this because we were talking about, I can't remember if it was it might have been after episode 3. We were talking about, you said something along the lines of, we're X many of episodes in, and I'm still not even really sure what the show's about. Like, so when Sebastian says that, like, do you feel like we're just getting started now, or do you still kind of feel it's lost in the mire?
You know what? Boba Fett actually says something definitive in episode 4, and he kind of explains where he's at.
Right.
Like, and I'm like, that's the show. And why is it taken till episode 4 to actually hear him express this? Now, I get kind of why, but I think they could have said this in episode 2.
Yeah.
You know, or had something where because that's, I think, what he states his mission. There's a mission statement that he gives.
Well, there's that scene that we saw in the trailers where it's at the table, all the crime lords are sitting. That was in the trailer.
It was in the trailer.
And you're absolutely right. That's exactly the moment where, now they're kind of saying what the show's about, but it's more than halfway through the show.
And it's that conversation he has with Fennec Shan. He's like, look, I'm tired of working for douchebags. It's basically what he says. I
That
don't
should
want
have
to
been
do
an
it
episode
anymore.
1 conversation.
It should have been an episode 1 conversation.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Because that's the whole premise of the series. You know, then people would never have complained if they heard that. They're like, I get Boba Fett now. Because they're wondering, why was he this guy and now he's this guy?
Yep, you're absolutely right. All right, next up. We've got Al Renshaw, who writes, I wonder if Aaron has kept up with all the shenanigans involving Kim Ray, Cock Max, too many hoes out there segment, and etc. Well, I think as was proved by the fact when we said Aaron Bromings, that no, she's quite behind on some of the new on the new lingo and linguistics and things.
I'm sure there'll be more.
We'll get her caught up.
New things.
I don't even know if I want to know about this.
We will get her caught up on all that too. By the way, listen, guys, there are also a couple of super chats that got sent in via Wiley Todd. Toe Koo Guy also sent in a super chat badge just to be supportive. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate that. And guys, that's it for our time today. We have run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us here today on this episode of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for making this show part of your day. I want to thank everybody who's here. First of all, starting with the COVID-free Ray Ora. Ray, where can people follow you online?
That's Ray Ora with a 0.
And right beside him is, of course, Aaron with Joey Bishop. Where can people follow you?
Joey just woke up. You can find us at Aaron L. Cummings and on an episode of The Rookie airing February 27th.
By the way, Joey looks like a little Wookiee.
She does. I couldn't get her into the groomer this week. They're all packed up, so she's just a fucking mess.
Oh, I think she looks adorable.
I love it.
Oh, boy.
And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out Dota because you got the guy right here, Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett. People can find me on Twitter, Burnett RM, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, or here, of course, almost every day.
By the way, I got to say this little quick story. So I had a couple of business meetings yesterday. One of them happened over in Burbank at the BJ's restaurant in Burbank. And so I had toted my iPad along with me, and I drove all the way back out to Riverside, and I realized I'd left my iPad there. And at night, Robert Meyer Burnett was kind enough to get back into his car, drive from Pasadena to Burbank,
Big
to go
dark lighter,
and pick big dark lighter coming through.
Dark lighter coming
Getting that
through.
But the crazy thing about that was, I mean, John had to call and give a description. I had to have his codes for his computer. They weren't the manager came and like sat down next to me. He's like, "Are you who you say you are?" And
well, look, because the manager literally asked me when I first called, said, like, "Do you have my thing?" He goes, "Yes, here it is." And I said, okay, it won't be me coming to get it. I'm probably gonna have somebody coming to get it. And he's like, can you please provide me with a physical description of the person coming to get it? And I'm like, have you ever seen the Star Wars porn parody? You know Biggs Darklighter?
Biggs Darklighter, yeah.
I did literally have to give them Rob's description. And Rob drove over to Burbank
That's a
and picked up
friend.
my iPad for me. So
I'm gonna have to put a picture of that up on Twitter today
That's
so
a good
people can
manager,
see
too,
it.
to actually do all those,
No, I would say
Absolutely.
this. You know what?
Big shout out to BJ.
Shout out to BJ. They did a great job, and they were really cool about it. And
that
they were
protected
great.
my property. Anyway, guys, you guys can also follow me simply on social media, on Instagram and on Twitter, simply at John Campea. And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow. We'll have the whole crew back in here, COVID notwithstanding. And anyway, guys, thanks a lot. That'll do it for us for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.